Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, join us as we get together to talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news. And I forgot to mute my other computer, and there we go. We're off to a flying start, ladies and gentlemen. Flying start. And speaking of being off to flying starts, we got Erin Cummings here, everybody. Erin, how you doing?
I'm great. I feel like this might be the last time that I see you guys for a while, though, because I'm going to be heading off to Atlanta on Monday for a month.
Can we say why?
You know what? I can't say the show, and not because it's a big deal. It's not like it's
a big deal.
Well,
yeah.
I think it's a big deal, and I'm excited about it, but it's not one of those, oh my gosh, hush, hush kind of shows. But I'm always a little, until I'm on the plane, I don't like to say it. So we will announce it soon. But yeah, I did find out yesterday that I booked a recurring role on a show that shoots in Atlanta. So I will be off in Hotlanta for the next month, missing you guys.
And speaking of which, watched your premiere on All Rise on Monday. We're like,
yay! Thank you so much.
So that was great, and it's awesome that you got another show now, so away you go.
It's been kind of a crazy week. All Rise premiered, and then I wrapped up my episode of Lucifer, and then I booked this recurring show. So it's been a really rough 3 years, and so I am thankful and grateful, and I am soaking up all the goodness, and I'm enjoying it while it lasts, because as we know...
Yeah, but and then, of course, the downside means we are not going to have you for the next 3 to 4 weeks, so we're going to miss you, but we'll just look forward to your triumphant return.
Thank you.
Speaking of triumphant returns, of course, Chris Carr's back.
Hello.
Chris, how are you doing?
I'm great. I have such mixed feelings, though, because I'm so happy for you, Erin, but then pantsless Thursdays.
I know. You know, if it makes you feel any better, I will be pantsless anyway in your honor.
Yes. There we go.
All Thursdays, just assume I'm not wearing pants because of Chris Carr.
Thank
no matter
you.
where I am in the world, I won't wear pants on Thursday.
So little, just,
so listen,
bear it.
In the realm and universe of, coincidence and ironies and things like that. So last night, I'm here at my place waiting for everybody to show up to play our weekly Star Wars role-playing game. And Chris is one of the people who plays in the Star Wars role-playing game. So my other buddy, Chris, is also his name. He shows up. He's the guy who's one of the producers on the Umbrella Academy. So he gets here last night, and he walks in and goes, "Hey, man, that's crazy about Kevin Feige, huh?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He stops. "Am I about to break news to John Campea?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And of course, he told me about the Star Wars thing. And we, of course, will talk about that Star Wars thing. And we got a lot of things that we need to talk about here today, guys. So listen, we're going to just jump right into our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. See, you guys come up with them by simply going over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question, hit submit. And then maybe, just maybe, if the stars align, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down and out of the way, let's get on with our first main question today. Chris, what is our first main question topic, whatever it is today? Off to flying start today. What's up first?
This is from G. Colby Porter. Hey, John, love the show. My question involves around Adam Sandler. I saw the trailer for his new movie, Uncut Gems, directed by the Safdie brothers, who did Good Time with Robert Pattinson, and it looks amazing. My question is, what are your guys' thoughts on the trailer and Sandler as a dramatic actor? I think he can be an amazing actor. He does a lot of bad comedies nowadays. How are you guys feeling about it? My big takeaway is, why have neither of you gotten me a blinged out Furby necklace?
That was something to see.
Oh, right.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you what. We've talked about Adam Sandler a little bit the last couple of days, but here's my general position on Adam Sandler these days. His comedy days are gone. I haven't seen or giggled or laughed at anything he's produced comedy-wise in years. It's been he used to be King of the Hill. I still love a lot of his older stuff, but there's that. But I have been basically begging the movie gods for years, ever since I saw this little film that he did called Reign Over Me, which is a tremendously underrated film that I legitimately thought, not win, but I legitimately thought he could have been nominated for an Academy Award for his acting in that. And that was the movie. And there's been others that he's done, but that was the one to me that went, this guy has some of the most naturally born with God-given dramatic acting gifts I have seen in a long time. And I've been pleading with the movie gods forever for him to do more dramatic stuff, get away from these easy paycheck, sloppy comedies he does these days, and do more of this, because he is freaking brilliant. And so I was a little late to the Uncut Gems party. So I because it came out. It was about 24 hours before I watched it. Got around to starting watching it. I'm like, first of all, Kevin Garnett's in it, so I'm on board right there. But I'm watching this. I'm like, this looks. Forget that it's Adam Sandler. Forget everybody else. This just looks amazing. This looks like something I would easily sit down, pop on, and watch, and just get engrossed in it. Sandler comes across fantastic. I love the look of this thing. I think it looks incredible. Aaron, did you have a chance to check out this Uncut Gems trailer? And if so, what did you think?
I did, and I love it. I'm so excited about this film. I love all the cameos. Idina Menzel is in it playing his
she looked
wife.
great.
She looks phenomenal and very much of the world. Like, I believe that she is the wife of a guy who's kind of like pulling a fast one and, you know, has his fingers in too many pots. I love the interactions that he has with the basketball players and how he's just involved in all of these worlds, and he's trying to just, you almost feel yourself drowning when you're watching it because of all of the things that are going on at the same time. And it's a weird sort of thing where you want to feel sorry for him, but you know that it's all his fault anyway, and he's just in way over his head. But at the same time, maybe he pulls it off. I'm very, very excited about it. And I agree with you. Reign Over Me is like, I mean, even if you haven't seen it, just go to YouTube and type in Reign, and it's REIGN, Reign Over Me monologue. The monologue that he gives to Don Cheadle about his family who died in a plane crash, and he's describing his 3 daughters and his wife and it will break your heart. And I agree. I've never really been an Adam Sandler comedy fan. I always thought the eebity boobity. I never got it. Oh my God. It would drive me crazy. I never understood it. My favorite thing that he ever did was Gap Girls with Chris Farley and David Spade.
Oh yeah.
The Gap Girls were my favorite. And even if you have seen like Punch Drunk Love, I remember was like really the first time we started talking about his dramatic roles, and then most recently the tribute that he did on SNL to his late friend Chris Farley was so beautiful and heartfelt. So I'm thrilled about this, and I agree with you, John. I hope that this is the new direction of his career, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do start seeing some nominations in his future if he continues this path.
What, Chris, did you have a chance to see this trailer? And if so, what did you think?
I did, and I love what you were saying about this trailer, Aaron, because you do feel this sense of like urgency and impending dread, and you feel like you're being sucked down this vortex with him. So you do start to just really empathize and sympathize with this character who's made all the wrong choices. And I'm so excited to root for him making all those wrong choices. I love Sandler. I am a fan of his comedy. Not all of it. Obviously, you know, the one where he was his own sister. There have been some stinkers.
Yeah.
Was it Jack and Jill?
Jack and Jill.
Yeah, where he won Razzies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I've always thought he's a tremendous talent. Mm-hmm. And, man, Reign Over Me and Spanglish were movies that just really, really resonated with me. So I'm really excited to see more of him in this. And I'm so excited to see my girl Adina. I love her.
Yeah,
I want her to get all the screen time.
Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem.
But but also like The Wedding Singer, you know, I mean, The Wedding Singer, even though it was marketed as a comedy, he was very dark in that movie. And I like that. I don't mind if we have some like chuckles with the darkness, but I want Adam to embrace it. You were about to say something about Adele Dazeem.
Well, I was going to say, did you see Travolta? What was it at the MTV Movie Awards or something? Travolta mocked himself doing. I thought that was pretty clever. He did this little movie. Sandler did this little movie a while ago called Click.
Yes,
and it was right when he was when the height of his comedy power, because I love Waterboy, I love the one where he's the golfer. Why am I freezing on the name? Happy Madison. I love. Or Happy Gilmore, sorry.
Happy Gilmore. Yeah, it's Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison.
Billy Madison's the other one. We're mixing them up there. I loved all that. But then when he kind of did this half comedy, half drama piece called Click, and where there's this mystical remote control that changed. And that one didn't quite work for me, but it was in that movie that I didn't like all that much. That again, you started to see glimpses like, I think this guy's capable of doing some stuff that's heavier, even though I didn't love the movie. But the question is, guys, did you have a chance to see Uncut Gems trailer? If so, what did you think? Are you buying into the hype? Do you think, man, no, we're overplaying it. It doesn't actually look that good? What do you think? Jump down in the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 2. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
Second topic is from Danny Magic. Hey, John, I just purchased my ticket for Joker next week. And I noticed that the very first... That was eerie. Ooh, chills. I noticed that the very first screening is at 4 p.m. on Thursday. I know you've talked about midnight screenings getting earlier and earlier as the years go on, but is 4 o'clock a little overkill? Thanks. How do you feel about the 4 o'clock time?
Look, it is funny because we have been talking about this a lot lately about how...
And we have tickets for it.
And we have tickets for it. It was not that long ago. Not long ago at all that, you know, when a big movie was opening up, if it was big enough, it got a midnight screening. You know, like if it opened on Friday, it would open at Friday at 12:01 a.m. And this was just a few years ago. I was still at AMC when midnight screenings were still a thing. And then all of a sudden, there would be an 11 o'clock screening and be like, well, actually, that's kind of cool because I do have to work on Friday morning. So this is great. Then it became 10 o'clock. Then it became 9 o'clock. And then it kind of became the standard that when a movie opens on a Friday, what that really means is that it opens on Thursday at 7 p.m. And that's kind of been the de facto norm for a little while. Now, that's 99% of the time. 1% of the time, they don't do it. But that's like The Kitchen didn't have a Thursday night screenings, which that's fine. That movie sucked. Anyway, so they started doing this. So the day that the Joker tickets go on sale, we were in the room and I was like, you know, I'm going to go grab those tickets right now. So I jump over and it was about 10 minutes before we started the show. And to my amazement, I'm looking like, is that right? It says 4 p.m. 4 p.m. screenings. So I'm like, okay, I'm happy to pick up 4 p.m. screening tickets. So I bought them. We're all going to go, you know, at 4. Oh, you're not going to go.
I know.
Oh, I just
There's an
realized
extra
you can't
ticket,
go
but Tom is still going in my.
So Tom's still going to come.
Tom is still
okay.
going.
Okay.
Tom is Aaron's husband. Okay, so Tom's still going to come. So we got an extra ticket. That's okay. We'll invite Corey to come. So anyway, but it's 4 p.m. and I had never. Look, I can't say here definitively that this has never happened, but I can tell you definitively I've never seen this. Because to me, look, it at least made sense that you can still say it opens Friday when it's not playing all day on Thursday. You know, as long as it's not playing matinees and all that kind of stuff Thursday, it's just in the evening. Okay, well, you call those preview screenings, fine. But they've become the norm. But now that you're moving them to 4 p.m., it's like, well, then when is it? At what point do we start saying that it doesn't open on October 4th, it opens on October 3rd? Like, because today, if you look it up, the Joker official launch date is still October 4th. But that's not true. It is now true that it opens, I'm sorry, when you're opening it at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, it now opens that day. This movie opens October 3rd. And again, I'm more than happy with the 4 p.m. screening. But at what point does that 4 p.m. screening now become a 1 o'clock matinee? And then an 11 a.m. matinee? And then Wednesday at midnight, and then Wednesday at 11 p.m. I mean, I just sort of feel like, well, I'm totally thrilled and totally happy, guys, to get this thing that I'm going to get to go a few hours earlier than I thought to see Joker. At the same time, I'm like, can we just set a standard? Like, if a movie opens on this day, this is when it means that the first screenings happen. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but it's just a little thing. Aaron, when you're looking at a situation like this, like personally, I'm thrilled that I had to see this thing a little bit earlier than I thought I was going to. But I don't know, were you surprised? Have you seen other movies open earlier than 7 p.m. on a Thursday? Like, what are your thoughts?
So I was doing a little dive last night and I found a lovely article from 2016 in the Omaha News Herald, and it actually
that is a deep dive.
Yeah. And I actually found some really fascinating information. Do you know the reason why movies stopped having the midnight premiere?
I just assumed because it was too late. No, I don't know.
Aurora.
Really?
When the Dark Knight Rises, thank you. I kept wanting to say Returns. When there was the shooting in Aurora, Colorado, at the midnight screening of Dark Knight Rises, after that shooting, movie theaters started finding that less and less people were going to the midnight screenings. So that was when they bumped it up to 10 p.m. and more people started going to the theaters. And then people started getting used to that. And so then with more family-friendly films, like some of the bigger animated films, those started opening around like 7 p.m. so that families could go to it. It was actually Aurora was the reason why it started bumping up in the first place. And then it's like once you've taken it out of the midnight or the 12:01 slot, it's sort of like it opens on Thursday, period. Like it is what it is. And even though these movies still are considered Friday openings, you know, if you're a theater, and it also has to do with the now films being shown digitally. When a theater only had X number of films that they could
the
show
actual physical reels that had to be shipped out.
You know, each theater, let's say that you have a, AMC 30 or whatever, you have 30 theaters. Well, you may only get 2 reels or 3 reels, so you can only show it. But if you decide that you want to show, if the studio says you're welcome to open this movie on a Thursday and it's digital, you can literally have all 30 of your films screening that movie on Thursday. That's what they did for I think it was Revenge of the Sith. There were theaters that were screening him like every 15 minutes in different theaters so people could watch it, which is one of the reasons why it's the highest opening day, one day box office, because of those Thursday screenings. Here's the thing.
At the time,
yeah. Yes, of course, every record is made to be broken. I don't have a problem with it, and here's why. If it makes more sense for someone to go to the theater at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because they have a flexible day job and they have to go pick their kid up from daycare at 6 or whatever, then good for them. It gives them a better opportunity to see the movie. If they want to show the movie at 7 p.m., I'm like, great for that too. Once you're opening a movie on Thursday, you can open it at 11 o'clock in the morning for all I care. It's still Thursday. When we start opening Friday movies on a Wednesday, that's when I'm going to have to start having a problem with it. But whatever. People have different schedules. Nobody works a 9 to 5. Well, not everyone works a 9 to 5. So I say as long as people are going to the theater and seeing movies and paying to see movies, I'm happy.
The question here is, guys, what do you think about all that? Are you just kind of like me? It's like, hey, I'm just happy to go see Joker a few hours early. Or is it like, when do we start setting the line? Like, when does a movie open? Do you guys have a thought on that? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, with that down out of the way, let's move on to main topic number 3. Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This is from Sam Jones. Did you hear the news that Hulu's Ghostwriter series has been canceled due to creative differences? I don't buy it, as the series has been in development for a while, apparently. Do you believe this is really the case, or do you think it has something to do with the alleged reports of Kevin Feige wanting the Johnny Blaze Ghostwriter in the MCU and are canning it to pave the way for a movie? How do you guys feel about Ghostwriter?
So first of all, there's this complete piece of garbage show out there that Disney puts out called Agents of Shit, as I call it, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hate that show, wanted to love it. I love Clark Gregg. Clark Gregg is awesome. I will support anything Clark Gregg is in, but I just had to give up on that damn show. It's just terrible. But one of the more redeeming things they've done, and they've had some redeeming moments over the years, is their Ghostwriter character. And remember, they kind of announced that one year that we got Ghost Rider coming to the next season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, that's an interesting mix, putting Ghost Rider in there. And they took a different approach. I believe it's Gabriel Luna. Who plays it. I often, back in the day when he was first starting out, I would just keep saying Diego Luna. I would just keep saying Diego. But it was Gabriel Luna playing it. And you know what?
Well, because Diego Luna's on-screen partner in one of my favorite foreign films, Y tu mamá también, was with Gabriel Garcia Bernal. So,
well, there you go. So
sorry,
there's name association. So you have this thing there, and I actually thought, you know what? That's actually not bad. I kind of like what they're doing. They clearly had a more limited visual effects budget, but what they were doing with the character was actually pretty interesting. Then he left, and they always thought. Then they announced that Hulu is going to have a standalone series. Well, if you didn't hear, That's now gone. Now, this comes to us from Deadline, who wrote, Hulu and the Ghost Rider team had reached a creative impasse which could not be resolved, leading to the streamer's decision not to move forward with the series. It's unclear whether the series will be shopped elsewhere. Now, it should be noted that Hulu is the home to several Marvel properties. We've got The Runaways, which is on there, which I love. The Runaways. It's very different from the comic book, but it's really, really good. And then they've got a couple of other projects coming as well. So it's not like they're getting out of the Marvel property game, especially now that Hulu's owned by Disney.
Is it Hellstorm?
Hellstorm, yeah.
Hellstorm?
And at least that's one. Then they got some animated stuff as well. But it looks like the Ghost Rider thing is done. Now, as far as, do I believe this? Yes, because here's the thing. When studios want to make an excuse for why a project has fallen apart between certain creators and them, the go-to excuse is scheduling conflicts. That's the go-to excuse. When you don't want to say why you're really not having this happen, you just come up with the excuse. Because remember, why am I forgetting the name? Lead guy from Sons of Anarchy.
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam. Thank you. Charlie Hunnam was going to be the lead guy in 50 Shades of Grey. And then mysteriously, scheduling conflicts. It's like, really? You didn't know your schedule before you signed up? And then it came out much later on that, of course, that was all BS. You don't generally come out and admit to the public, we couldn't get on the same page. We couldn't agree. That's not something you use as an excuse, because that's a little bit of an embarrassment to come out and say that. No, I don't buy the thing that Kevin Feige is not a knee-jerk reaction kind of guy. Kevin Feige has a plan. He didn't just wake up one morning and go, I think I want Ghost Rider now. Change my mind, everybody. Now I want Ghost Rider. Now, Kevin Feige is the type of guy who plans 5 years in advance. He didn't just suddenly wake up one day and go, I think I want Ghost Rider. So no. And now it's not impossible, but I don't buy this notion and this rumor going around that, it's because Kevin Feige wanted Ghost Rider in the MCU. No, I don't buy that at all. I think this really is the case. If they had come out and said scheduling conflicts, I might have bought that they're just trying to cover something up. When they come out and say, no, the showrunners and the producing team wanted to go in one direction, and Hulu just decided, no, that's not the direction we want to go, and they hit an impasse and they said, no, we just got creative differences, we can't do this. I buy that reasoning. So anyway, Aaron, you hear this reasoning. I mean, look, as somebody who's been involved, particularly in television circles for so long, I mean, you've heard the scheduling conflict thing. You've heard creative differences. Do you think this could be a smokescreen, or there's something else going on, or do you actually buy the official line that they just couldn't get on the same page?
I mean, initially my thought is, what do you mean you can't get on the same page? Like that, it seems like this is so far into the process that it is a little shocking to hear that they just, like, what was the big creative conflict? I'm actually very curious, especially since it's not like this is a new idea. It's, I mean, first of all, Ghost Rider, there's obviously a lot of source material for it, but also this is a character that has been developed, as you said, in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So they're setting it up for this. They've been setting it up for the spinoff. So I want to hear more about the story of who were the actual creative differences between, and what were they? My heart goes out to Gabriel Luna. I read something like this, and my first thought as an actor is, wow, that really sucks. You have this great recurring role playing this iconic character, made famous by Nicolas Cage, and then you think you're going to get your own spinoff, and you're preparing for that. Your entire team is preparing for that. You're probably turning down other opportunities. He's coming out in Terminator, the new Terminator soon.
Right, yeah.
So this guy's got a lot of heat on him. God knows there's probably been a lot of other opportunities that have come his way that they've had to pass on because of this show that he's going to be starring in. And then all of a sudden the bottom just drops out from underneath him. So, Gabrielle, my heart goes out to you. I'm not too worried about you, though. You're incredibly talented, and you got a lot of really great stuff coming up. So I'm sure that you're going to be on your feet in no time. I'm not worried about you too bad, but that it still has to be kind of a kick in the dick.
Chris, what do you think about this? Are you surprised that they're pulling the plug on it? Are you surprised by what they're saying? Were you looking forward to this? Where are you at on this?
I was looking very forward to this because I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., God damn it.
There's a lot of people who do. There are a lot of people who do.
Golly Moses. And I think he was so good as the Ghost Rider character. And I really liked seeing that version because I did not like the Nick Cage version. I was super pumped about this. I do think that is absolute nonsense that Feige was like, no, I want him now. It's going to be part of my playset. That's just BS. That can't have happened. I do want all the hot goss. I want to know what happened. I want to know who hated each other on that set. I want to know what was happening in that writer's room. Who kicked whom in the dick?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Exactly.
And by the way, look, again, I want to emphasize, it's not impossible that, maybe they've decided to put him in there, but I can't see why they would want that Ghost Rider character in the MCU. I don't see that as a fit. But it's not impossible. I just don't really buy. Question is, guys, what do you buy? Do you buy into this whole reason they're giving that they just ran into a creative impasse? Do you think there's other things going on? Do you think that's exactly what it was? Give me your thoughts. Jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to main topic number 4. Chris, what is our 4th main topic today?
This is from Yuri M. Hey, John and team. One of the weirder upcoming movie announcements was a Clue remake with Ryan Reynolds. Haven't heard much about it lately, so I thought it kind of died. Just read, though, that Jason Bateman is going to direct it now and may co-star in the film with Reynolds. What do you think about Bateman doing Clue? What do you guys think about this?
Well, hey, I'll tell you. First of all, for those of you who have missed out on it, yes, the reports did come out. Jason Bateman, who, by the way, just won the Emmy for Best Directing.
Yes.
So good on him for that, for directing an episode, his stuff on Ozark. This is the official report that came out of Variety. Jason Bateman is in early negotiations to direct and star in Ryan Reynolds' feature film based on the board game Clue for Fox and Disney. Reynolds boarded the project last year as a part of a 3-year first look deal he had signed with Fox. Reynolds' Maximum Effort banner announced at that point that he would develop Clue as a possible starring vehicle for the actor with Allspark Pictures, the film division of Hasbro, so I have a little bit of a connection to that, also producing. And by the way, his 2 writers from Deadpool have also written the script for it as well. Now, I am with you. I kind of started to think that this thing had just crawled away somewhere and died. I hadn't heard anything about it. I thought, okay, it's probably done. They moved on from that. They realized the folly of their ways and they moved on, decided not to do it. But when you bring on a Jason Bateman, who I really, really like, I adore Jason Bateman. I think whenever you put this guy in something, he's just money. It doesn't matter if it's Horrible Bosses. God, I loved Game Night. There's something about Jason Bateman where, you get certain comedy personas. You get a Will Ferrell, but who's very over the top, a very big presence. Even a Steve Carell is really more of a big presence. There's something about a Jason Bateman who has an everyday man feel to him while being ridiculously hilarious at the same time. And by the way, this would represent something of a reunion for Ryan Reynolds and Jason Bateman. They did that body switch comedy a few years ago. Where they woke up in different
right.
in different bodies. I forget the name.
Jason Bateman's the dad, and
and Ryan Reynolds is the free
hot,
living kind of bachelor dude. And they wish, Aaron will find it. So I would love it. Now, nothing's official here. They're not saying he will be in the film with Reynolds and stuff like that. But you know what? The idea of the 2 of them on screen together, because while that comedy,
the change up,
thank you. While it wasn't the best movie in the world, I loved the chemistry between Bateman and Ryan Reynolds. Just the idea of seeing them on the screen together again with Jason Bateman directing. By the way, Jason Bateman's directorial debut was that movie about the spelling bee.
Bad Words. Mm-hmm. So good.
So good. I adored that maybe.
So good.
I'm all up for this. And by the way, that Clue thing is down for a remake. Anne just bought her 18th version of Clue. She just got the Downton Abbey Clue that just arrived in the mail the other day. So there's a little bit of a Clue fever in my house. I think this sounds great. I'm all down for it. Aaron, what do you think about it?
Clue is one of my favorite movies of all time. And it is one of my favorite movies to the degree, just like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which is my number one. When I found out that it was being remade as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I was like, great, we're going back to the roots of the book. I still prefer the original. And like we've said on this show, just because a movie is getting a reboot, it doesn't eliminate the original. Now, sometimes the second one can leave a bad taste in your mouth. Sometimes it can rejuvenate your joy and fervor for the original. I'm actually really looking forward to this. And I don't know why. I should be like, no, the original, let's keep it. But I'm just thinking, okay, but who is Jason Bateman going to play? He's not a Colonel Mustard. He could pull off a Professor Plum because Professor Plum has that really dry, wry thing. But Jason Bateman also seems kind of cool. Like, I just don't know. I'm so fascinated. I want to know. I really hope that Madeline Kahn comes back.
Oh my God, in some kind of role?
In some kind of, maybe she's not Miss Scarlet. Maybe she comes back as Mrs. Peacock. I mean, that would be great, So I love everything about this. I will be there opening weekend. I can't wait. And just like, again, I'm going to pitch this again. I am your singing telegram. Okay, now I got so excited I fucked up the words. I want to be the singing telegram. So, Mr. Bateman, I am your singing telegram.
Here you go.
Shoot me. Let's do this. But yeah, I agree with you. He was so good in Game Night. By the way, Billy Magnuson, the dumb guy in Game Night, he kind of plays the dumb guy in a lot of things. He was one of our groomsmen.
Really?
So, yeah, he and Tom they did As the World Turns Together a million years ago, and they started a band together. He's like one of our good friends. So
he's really good in that.
He is. Yeah, he's really, really good. And I don't know if I can say what I'll tell you off camera. He's in a big movie right now.
Juicy.
Really?
And it's like one of those kind of movies that like you're like I probably would get a lot of
not to say on
air,
air, but tell me
but
off
I'll tell you
camera.
off camera. But anyway, going back to it, love Jason Bateman, love Ryan Reynolds, and I mean we're on a Ryan Reynolds train right now. Let's just keep this moving. So I'm excited. I'm into it.
Chris, you have
She has an opinion.
You have some
Probably not my
feelings-
opinion.
You have some feelings on a Clue thing you're Jason. What are you feeling right now?
I don't want it. Stop taking the things that I love and touching them. Keep your dirty hands off of them. Also, guys, Madeline Kahn died, didn't she, in like 1999?
Wait, who am I thinking?
Ain't she dead?
Wait, who am I thinking of? I'm sorry.
Because
Hold on.
Madeline Kahn was Mrs. White. Do you want Leslie Ann Warren back?
Leslie Ann
Okay.
Warren. No. Madeline Kahn died?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Look, this is just my issue here. You can go see this movie, or you cannot go see this.
Oh,
you know,
she died
Yeah,
like
I thought
10
so.
years ago. My
I thought so.
bad.
That's okay. I would love if she came back, but what a very different Clue.
I think that would be pretty fucking amazing.
I mean, I totally hear you guys about how it's not going to ruin the first movie. It's not going to take anything away, just like the Princess Bride one. But I stand by, even though I don't have to paint my car plaid, I would set it on fire. Some things are atrocities that I don't want in the world. Clue and the Muppets made me want to act, you guys. Madeline Kahn made me want to act. Stop touching my things.
But here's the thing. A lot of people today have never seen Clue, and they're never going to.
Well, and
So-
they're dumb.
Well,
Stop being dumb
be
people.
that as it may, it is a fact. And you getting the reigning, defending Emmy Award-winning Best Director. You're getting a guy with the writing team behind the Deadpool films. You get a guy right now who's one of the hottest things in Hollywood, and Ryan Reynolds producing and starring. That doesn't give you a little bit of an excitement for what they could do with this?
Ryan Reynolds would be a fun Wadsworth. Like the Tim Curry role.
It would make anything that work. Oh, they could do all new characters. I'm not selling her. She's not buying it. She's disgusted right now.
I'm going to drag her kicking and screaming opening weekend on a Thursday at 4
We're
p.m.
going to end like this, Aaron. This is our last show for a while together.
Guys,
with you, besmirching Tim Curry.
The question is, what do you think about this? The addition of Jason Bateman, does it alter or change what you were feeling about it at all? Are you still unmoved by it by any means? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our fifth main topic today. Chris, what is our fifth non-Clue related topic today?
Thank goodness. This is from Harrison. Hey, John and friends. I was wondering if you saw John Krasinski posting that film wrapped for A Quiet Place 2, and we have an official release date of March 20th. What do you think about this release date, and are you excited to see A Quiet Place 2?
Well, let's say this. Quiet Place should have been nominated for Best Picture, flat out.
100%.
To me, it was the best film of the year. I am still in awe of that. I went home for Christmas this past December, and we watched it as a family again. And again, I was just in awe. What they were able to do with much of the film having no dialogue, the way they were able to incorporate affection and warmth and terror and fear and tension and all of that kind of stuff, all without words. the use of imagery and atmosphere and everything in a world that I instantly bought into. I didn't need to even know where the monsters came from. I didn't care. Like the movie was so good and enthralling that I didn't care. And I'm glad we didn't know, because that put us in the same shoes as the people living in the world. We had no idea where they come from. They just showed up and all of a sudden we're all dying. I loved this movie. And I'll say this before, this is a little bit of a spoiler for the movie, but if you haven't seen it by now, you're not interested in it, clearly. But one of the most horrifying, you ever get your muscles tense up so much, you feel like your back's going to break? Muscle tensioning, most horrific, terrifying, eke out, have to turn away from the screen moments in movie history to me. Wasn't a giant shark ripping somebody apart. Wasn't some alien eating somebody from the inside out. It was a woman walking down a simple set of basement stairs with a rusty nail sticking out of it, and you knew she was about to step on it. The way they composed that scene and that shot of her coming down the stairs, I thought I was going to vomit. I thought my stomach was in such knots. I thought it was going to, this was a brilliant movie. Now, by the end of it, you're like, okay, I could see them never doing a sequel to this, but they totally could at the same time. John Krasinski wasn't even planning on doing a sequel for it. But ultimately, with the amount of money it made, compared to the fact that I think they made it for the spare change he had in his pocket at the time, and the amount of money it made, and how critically acclaimed it was, and all this kind of stuff, could have won all the awards in my opinion. They decided to go back and do another one. And look, will this next one live up to the first one? I don't know. But I'll tell you this, it doesn't need to. This next one doesn't need to live up to the first one. If it gets to within 80% of the first one, I'm still going to love it. I love that they're doing this thing again. And by the way, the way John Krasinski made the announcement, guys, he got on his social media and put up a picture of him and his wife walking down that iconic bridge from the first movie and saying, that's a wrap on A Quiet Place 2. It's done shooting, comes out in March. I'm super psyched for it. Aaron, what do you think about this news? What do you think about them? First of all, it still felt weird to me. It feels like just yesterday they announced they were going to do another one. And it's like, wait a minute, and they're done shooting? Like, it's real? But anyway, what do you think about the whole philosophy of them doing another one? Are you looking forward to it?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, first of all, let's be real. After 500 seasons of The Office, John Krasinski's change in his couch cushion is slightly higher than the average person's.
True.
So let's just establish that. I love the fact that this is a guy who is constantly changing the way that Hollywood views him. He comes in and he's just the lovable, dorky guy that works in the office with the perfect little, one-liners to the camera and has the brilliant side eye. And then all of a sudden, he's an action hero out of nowhere. Like, I definitely did not see that happening. And the next thing we know, he's a screenwriter and his wife is starring in his movie and it's a brilliant movie. I think that he and Emily Blunt are just one of those Hollywood dream couples that we love to root for. They're not obnoxious or in your face. And I think the fact that they're not only working together once, but like working together multiple times. In fact, my favorite story is that they were on a plane together and he asked her to read the screenplay to give him her feedback. And at the end of it, she said, I really want to play this role. And he said, good, because I wrote it for you. She was the ideal to play the role. And then she read it and wanted to. I love everything about it. And I want nothing but success and happiness for both of them. They seem like just those people that work really hard, keep their heads down. And I love the fact that he wasn't constantly like, here's us on set and here's doing this and here's doing that. They just were like, hey, we're doing a movie. Hey, we finished the movie. And then probably we'll hear, hey, the movie's coming out. So come watch it. So I like it. I'm a fan.
Question is, guys, what do you think about this? It just feels, again, like yesterday that they announced that you've been doing this thing. It's now done. It's wrapped. It's in the can. What do you think about that? Jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Let's have a little bonus thing today, a little topic number 6. And our 6th topic today is simply this. Again, I told the story at the beginning as we had our Star Wars role-playing group coming together. A buddy of mine came through the door. It goes, hey, just announced Kevin Feige. If you guys didn't hear, Kevin Feige is going to be producing a Star Wars movie. Now, this is not some lame little rumor. This comes from Alan Horn himself. Alan Horn said the following, and this was the Hollywood Reporter. We are excited about the projects Kathy and Lucasfilm are working on, not only in terms of Star Wars, but also Indiana Jones and reaching into other parts of the company, including Children of Blood and Bone with Emma Watson Fox. With the close of the Skywalker saga, Kathy is pursuing a new era in Star Wars storytelling, and knowing what a die-hard fan Kevin is, it made sense for these two extraordinary producers to work on a Star Wars film together. And like we've been telling people for a long time, make no mistake, yeah, Kevin Feige is a massive, and has been his whole life, massive Marvel fan. But his heart belongs to Star Wars. And we've been telling you that for a long time. Kevin Feige is a massive Marvel fan, always has been, but his heart belongs to Star Wars. Now let's address a couple of things here off the top before I get into my big geekgasms about the fact that he's going to be producing a Star Wars film. Number one, I have been saying for some time, what does this mean? I've been saying for some time that Kevin Feige is not going to be the president of Marvel for much longer. Now, by much longer, I don't mean several weeks, but I think 3 to 4 years from now, he's no longer the president of Marvel. He's gone. He has done everything he can do at Marvel. He has accomplished every goal. He has climbed every mountain to the point now that he's got comic book films being nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and he now has the biggest box office film of all time. There is no other mountain he can climb that is bigger than the mountains he's already climbed there at Marvel. He's got other things to do. One of the things that some people have suggested that maybe he could do is, because everybody knows in the business of his love for Star Wars, is to go over and take over Star Wars. So it's not surprising that we're seeing a lot of people online saying things like, this is the harbinger of the eventual announcement that Kevin Feige is taking over Star Wars. And I'm going to tell you this up front. I don't believe that's the case. Because in career terminology, that's a lateral move. He'll be going from running Marvel to running Star Wars. It's a lateral move. And I can maybe see him jumping from Marvel over to Warner Brothers and, bringing DC to prominence, because that would forever etch him in Mount Olympus of movie iconography. I mean, he would be the man forever and ever. Amen. That's what he would be if he decided to do that. I believe, and I've said this for a while, I believe, and I don't know this, nobody's told me this, I believe that that Disney is grooming him to ultimately take over for Alan Horn, who was brought out of retirement years ago by Bob Iger to run their movie division, but at some point he's going to want to retire again. And I think they're positioning Kevin Feige to take over Alan Horn's job, not make a lateral move to Star Wars. But if you're Kevin Feige and you're at Disney, you have earned the right to do anything you want to do there. And if in his heart he wants to do a Star Wars movie, and now, according to the articles, it says he went to Kathy Kennedy a number of months ago and made a pitch for an idea for a movie. Kennedy loved it. They decided they're going to work on this together and they're going to make it. So this has actually been a thing for a while. We've just not known about it. So I don't see this as the future path of Kevin Feige. I don't see him ultimately taking over Star Wars, because that's something he would have wanted to do years ago. But now I think he's got bigger fish to fry higher up. But while he's there, he wants to do a Star Wars movie. He wants to put his thumbprint and become a part of, the greatest name in movie entertainment ever, Star Wars. He wants to be a part of that. And if you're Disney, you let him do whatever the F he wants to do. And so that's what I see going on there. Now, moving on to the geeky part of me about Kevin Feige doing a Star Wars film. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, you guys, look, what this guy has done with the MCU, not just with the MCU, but with the comic book genre in general. This guy's put out nearly 23 films, almost averaging $1 billion per film. That is mathematically inconceivable, to quote Vincini. Inconceivable. It's absolutely inconceivable. You can't possibly make a 20-plus film franchise and average $1 billion. Are you crazy? And yet that's what he's done. And he's done it with character. He's done it with creativity. He's done it with imagination. He's done it by genre bending. He's done it in every way imaginable. He has done it with the MCU and done it with great success. For him to bring that imagination, that creativity, and that passion that he has for Star Wars, and to bring that into the Star Wars universe, oh my God. This is great. Now, I don't think he's going to make 8 films of Star Wars. I think he's probably going to make 1 or 2 when it's all said and done. And that's fine. I'll just be super grateful for that. And then he'll probably take over Alan Horn's job. Again, I don't know that. I'm just speculating and guessing. But still, this is fan-fucking-tastic. I am so excited about this. I think it's wonderful and marvelous to see Kevin Feige play in the Star Wars universe is just outstanding. And I'm really dying to see what they're going to do with this. Aaron, I'm just curious. Like, you're not as big of a Star Wars fan as me, clearly.
Really?
Maybe I should have invited your husband. Maybe I should have invited Tom to come down and talk with me here today.
Oh my gosh, you would never get him to shut up about it.
Tom is all about Star Wars. But still, like, look, Kevin Feige has become the most successful producer in Hollywood history. It's just he's not even 50. And he is the most successful producer in Hollywood history. To have him come into something like Star Wars, put this into perspective for us. So what does this mean?
Well, what I see here is it kind of goes back in a not same scale, but similarly to what I just said about John Krasinski. I love when you have someone that comes into the world that we live in, which, yes, I know that Rob's favorite saying is it's not show friends, it's show business. But at the same time, it's also, I grew up watching Preston Sturges films and films, with Marilyn Monroe and Bette Davis. So I naturally gravitate towards certain types of roles. And I am always thrilled when I have the opportunity to play in the world that I grew up dreaming about. So when I hear that Kevin Feige, who has been a fan since before he was a filmmaker, that he now gets to live out his boyhood dream of actually putting his fingers into the Star Wars franchise, after the massive success that he already has, it actually warms my heart. It makes me so happy because that this is someone who is going to make decisions out of love, out of care, out of compassion, not just out of a paycheck, not just out of what the studio wants to do, Like, this is someone who is going to take it seriously and cherish this project with the love and the affection that it so deserves. And it makes me, it warms my heart. And it's also great to see someone like Kevin Feige, who, as you said, is so young, who's saying, you know what? It's my world, and I want to do what I want to do, and I want to have fun, and I want to create great projects that people are going to enjoy, that I'm also going to enjoy doing. Because the more fun that Kevin Feige has creating, putting his stamp on these projects and these franchises that have such a huge worldwide following, the more the audience is going to enjoy it as well. I think it's fantastic.
This to me is absolutely fantastic news. Chris, I'm just curious, like you heard this when you showed up for the game last night.
Yeah.
So you showed up for the game, got word from it. What are you thinking and what are you sensing from the online world as you're seeing people talk about it online as well?
Oh, online it seems like everyone is so fired up about this. And I was last night too. At the game we were talking about this. What do you do after Endgame? You do a Star Wars movie. Come on. And let's be clear too, guys. Kathleen Kennedy still does have 2 years left on her contract. She's not going anywhere.
That she just got an extension for.
And so she's not leaving, because I've seen that in the comments of her getting booted or something. No, she's not. She's kicking around. She's going to hang out for a while. But, we've seen Feige do masterful work with creating an entire cinematic universe and really weaving stories throughout multiple films. And to be able to do that with Star Wars for a new trilogy or a new set of stories that exist in that universe, I am so thrilled to see him do that. Because when fans get a hold of stuff that they truly, truly love, it usually pays off. I'm pumped.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this, and it'll be really neat to see what kind of direction they decide to go. And then, of course, timeline. Clear, we're not going to see a Kevin Feige produced film for a number of years. It's going to be a while before we see that. But still, I am very, very interested to see. Yes.
Forgive my ignorance on this, but are we still talking about Quentin Tarantino directing a Star Wars film?
No, that was Star Trek.
Yeah.
Are those not the same thing? I'm kidding. I just had to...
Oh my gosh, you just gave John an aneurysm. Oh my God, you broke his brain.
Oh my god!
Do you need a paper
I'm
bad,
actually
John?
going to pass that opportunity up.
I'm hyperventilating. I'm hyperventilating.
I'm
a
sorry,
little bit.
John. I'm sorry.
my God.
I shouldn't mess with your health like that.
Troll level 9,000. Yes.
You got me.
Every once in a while, I gotta get a little
my
dig
goodness.
in. I'm sneaky.
Get the hell out.
Wow. And I leave you with this, my people. Now I'm off to Atlanta.
Oh my God.
Should I do my Texan Gollum again? My precious.
I just, whew. Okay, I'm going to take a second to have to recover from that. Okay. Listen, this is a big deal. It's such a big deal that I decided we needed to make this the topic of today's question of the day. I needed to know how you guys are feeling about this. So here was our question of the day. I put this up actually late last night just to get you guys, to give you guys a head start on it. And the question of the day was simply this. Are you excited that Kevin Feige is producing a Star Wars movie? Your three options were yes, fuck yes, and I'm touching myself, yes. 41% of you have said yes, you're excited about it. 27% of you in the minority are saying fuck yes, and 32% of you are saying you are touching yourselves so much yes. So that is how you guys are feeling about it. I concur, by the way, with all three. There was no wrong answer there. There was no wrong answer on today's question of the day.
32%. A bunch of you are lying.
Yeah, it's more than 32.
That's a much higher number.
Yeah, this is, but they had people around them when they were answering the question. I mean, I just think it's tremendously exciting. Now, one of the things I should mention too, something some people have brought up, and this is worth mentioning, is when Disney screwed up the deal with Sony and crapped all over the Spider-Man deal and kicked Spider-Man out of the MCU. One of the things that Sony said was that, hey, we get it. Kevin Feige's busy, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, it was not just about Kevin Feige being busy. This was all about Disney trying to throw their weight around and wanting everybody to bend over for them. And when Sony wouldn't, they screwed up the deal and they botched it. Still, that said, a lot of people have been asking the question, how much can one guy do? Because we've got, over the next 2 years, we have 10 MCU projects just in the next 2 years. 10 that talked about 5 feature films, 5 series on Disney Plus, and then beyond that, we've got Doctor Strange 2, we've got whatever new Avengers they're going to do, we got Black Panther 2, they're going to be incorporating X-Men and Fantastic Four at some point down the line, blah, blah. How much time does Kevin Feige have? I believe that this move suggests this. I believe Kevin Feige is starting to delegate more. And because I've told this story before, guys, a couple of years ago, I got to moderate the Avengers Age of Ultron press conference. And I got to be the moderator there. And I got together with Kevin Feige a few minutes before we started, and he was like exhausted. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, listen, he just got off a golf cart, and he's like, my day has been this. Conference call about a script on this movie for like 3 hours. Then I had to rush over to this viewing room to give approval and give final notes on the Ant-Man trailer. And then I had to go over here and do this. And then, he's constantly moving. It's like, and that was when the MCU was just doing like 2 or 3 things a year. Yeah. I think he is starting to delegate his stuff out. It has to be. He has to be at the point where he's starting to delegate stuff out and going to a higher level view of just giving general oversight to everything, making sure everything stays untouched, but delegating more things down below the line, which again could be pointing towards his eventual departure from the role at the same time. But busy man. Let me ask you this quick, Aaron. Do you think him taking on so much, and I know this is one of the concerns of some people, do you think him taking on so much could cause the quality of the upcoming MCU stuff whenever, when you take on too much, things get done less well? Are we in danger of seeing that happen here with Kevin Feige?
No. And here's why. You're absolutely right. In the beginning, when there weren't as many projects going on, that's the time that Kevin Feige is trying out this cinematographer, this writer, this production designer, this wardrobe designer. When Kevin Feige is figuring out who are the people who are the best of the best for this world, who are the department heads that I know I can count on, that I have a shorthand of communication with, that they know what I want before I even want it. those, like all of he's basically been planting the seeds for his ability to then rise up. Like, he's not going to take on more than he can handle. And the reason why he can handle this many projects is because, as you said, he's delegated and he knows that he has people that he can trust. It's the same thing with any major company. I mean, he's risen up to be the CEO of a massive corporation. I mean, the Walton kids don't walk into every Walmart and go, "Hey, who's the manager on duty right now? I just want to make sure you got," like, no, you raise people up the ranks, you find the best of the best, and then you put it in their hands and you trust that they're doing their job. That way your oversight doesn't have to be micromanaging. He doesn't have to micromanage every department head of every movie that he's doing anymore. His level of I don't even want to say scrutiny, his level of checking and making sure that things are going according to plan is not on the micromanaging level anymore. So I think that he's put a lot of really good, really talented and smart people in positions where he trusts what they're doing, and they've done multiple, as you said, a lot of these movies are sequels, like Black Panther 2. Like, he's going to take everything that didn't work about Black Panther 1, any one that was a problem, they're gone. And all the people that worked really well, they're sticking around. And so I think this is, I'm not worried about this at all.
Guys, question here is, how do you feel about this news that Kevin Feige starting to dip his toes into some other water? He's going to be doing a Star Wars film, ladies and gentlemen. How are you feeling about that? What are some of the upsides? What are some of the downsides that you see? Jump on down in the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. And I'm sure we're going to have some more people wanting to talk about that as we get into the live questions. Speaking of which, guys, it's time for us to move into our live questions. But before we get into those, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about, I can already see a couple of Feige-related ones in there. Before we get into those live questions, we're going to take just a short break here, guys. Give ourselves a chance to rest the vocal cords, stretch the legs, refill our drinks, all that sort of things. So hang tight with us, guys. We'll be back in 3 minutes. We will be right back. We are back. Thank you guys for your patience and indulgence as we took a little bit of a break there. Let's not waste any time now. Let's get right over to it and start taking your live questions. And the first one comes into us from Hector Jeter, who writes, "Did you hear Kevin Feige is producing a Star Wars movie?"
What? No.
As a matter of fact, yes, we did. But he knew we were joking about that. All right. Angel Palma writes, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Wow.
I mean...
That's deep.
That's something. I can't answer that. Let's just say I got plans. I'm not going to talk about right now. But thank you for the question. I appreciate that. Tom Gillard writes, "The foot of Feige strikes again. Excited to see producing titans work together on Star Wars, Kennedy and Feige." It is going to be really cool to see what these two are able to do together. I mean, Steven Spielberg has said Kathleen Kennedy is simply the best producer he's ever worked with in his career. So to see what she does with Feige, who might be the single most gifted film business executive in the world, him and Alan Horn at any rate, it is going to be interesting to see what they do. And it is, again, the foot of Feige. All worship the foot of Feige. Ben Elman writes, "Disney to Star Wars, hear me and rejoice. You have the privilege of being saved by the great Feige." Well, I don't know that Star Wars needs being saved. They've made $5 billion in the last couple of films.
They're doing all right.
They're doing all right. So I don't think they need to be saved. But I'm very excited to see him come in. All right, Dalton Burdett writes, and Dalton says in a really big super chat, thank you, Dalton, for supporting the channel on that level, my friend. All right, one of my favorite movie-going experiences was a few months ago. I got to see the Fathom events of Superman 1978. A 6-year-old kid and his dad sat in front of me, and the kid had never seen it before. When Soup saves Lois, the kid cheers. Which is awesome. First of all, it's always great, guys, when you get to go see like a classic movie that you probably thought you'd never get to see on the big screen again, and you get to go see something like that. I did not get a chance to see that, but like one of my favorite experiences was when I remember the first time, this is ages ago, when they did the re-release of Star Wars, and I got to see it on the big screen again, which is something I had never thought. Do you guys have like a favorite movie going experience, your favorite time that you went to the theater?
You know what? I wouldn't say the theater, but what I love, and I feel so fortunate that we live in Los Angeles, but it happens in most big cities around the country, is the summer outdoor movie series.
Oh, yeah.
And I really feel like people don't, we have it here at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. And I think last summer, Tom and I went to see Chinatown. And seeing Chinatown on a big screen in a cemetery full of 300 people is a really cool experience. So that's my favorite thing, is those outdoor summer movie screenings.
There's a number of rooftop theaters in LA too.
Oh yeah, we saw Top Gun. We saw
really?
Top Gun recently, like outdoor on the. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What about you, Chris? You got a favorite movie going experience?
Oh, I love doing all those Cinespia things. I loved seeing Birdcage at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery. But mine, and I know we have some issues with the seats there, seeing Nightmare Before Christmas over at the El Capitan. Oh my gosh, so good. So wonderful.
Yeah, my favorite movie going experience was actually the first time I saw the first Avengers movie. It was at a time when, remember, comic book movies weren't the dominant thing yet. They were getting there, but they weren't the dominant thing yet. And I was in this movie theater. It was actually the El Capitan. So my knees were up in my chin. But I was at the El Capitan in a theater full of crusty, jaded film critics. And I had never been to a press screening ever where
Baby John.
the energy level
I was gonna say okay. Oh, sorry.
where the energy level of the audience, you had these crusty, jaded film critics going woo and cheering and when the movie was over, we all, like, I was literally, like, Ann can test, I was shaking, like, I never thought we could see something like that on the big screen. It was the most incredible thing, and that was my favorite movie-going experience ever. All right. Next one up comes to us from Pat Deary, who writes, more MCU actors show up in Star Wars movies now? I don't necessarily think one necessarily equates the other. It's not like Kevin Feige has worked with one actor and that's it. That's all he ever works with. So, I mean, look, anything is possible because the MCU is so big now that there are hundreds of actors in it. So it's possible. And I don't think that would become any sort of a mandate. Mad1306 writes, so excited to hear this news about Kevin Feige, but is it too much on one person with the MCU shows and movies and now this? And that is something we brought up here, Mad, near the end there, is that it is a lot. Like, first of all, it's different for a producer than a director, because a producer does all the work before the movie ever gets started. That's when the producer does most of their work. Then once the movie starts, it's all the director, and the director dominates their life until the movie's done. But still, it's one thing for a producer who is a hands-on, active, controlling producer like Kevin Feige to do 2 or 3 things a year. He's got a lot. And I got to imagine, even with delegation, he's going to have quality control in his mind. It's going to be interesting. But again, I believe that this is just the foreshadowing of him moving on from being the president of Marvel. I think Disney has plans for him. Not Bob Iger's job. Kevin Feige wouldn't know the first thing about doing Bob Iger's job, but Alan Horn's job. And Horn's looking to retire again. I mean, he came out of retirement. He's looking to get back to fishing and sunbathing. I got a feeling that. But, Aaron, with all of the legit things you said earlier about, look, he's spent 10 years building his creative teams. He's got 5 different art designers he knows he can go to for all of his different projects. He's got all that stuff in line. But even then, it's a lot, isn't it? Like 10 major projects in 2 years with all the things coming after that. Now he's going to introduce Star Wars into that. I mean...
Right, but I mean, you look at like the super producers of television, like Jerry Bruckheimer and Dick Wolf. I mean, how many TV shows can Dick Wolf possibly have going on at the same time?
Dick Berlanti right now, who you worked with on
Greg
Flash.
Berlanti, yeah, exactly. I mean, Greg Berlanti has so many different projects going on. And that's the thing is, I think that there will be certain projects that Kevin Feige is much more hands-on with, and then there's other projects that he's going to be able to be like, you know what, I can let that baby sail and every once in a while check in, make sure everything's going on. He also probably has at minimum, he has 3 assistants. Minimum. One person is only concerned with his books. One person is only concerned with making sure that he has all of his meals for the day, and that's their entire job, is to make sure that Kevin Feige eats. That's the way that these people structure their lives. I remember when I was on Astronaut Wives Club, and it was my first series that I was working Monday through Friday from like 6 a.m. until all the way at night, and it was a dream job, but one day I was in the trailer and I was like, I don't know what to do. I have no clean underwear. I have no paper towels. How do people just do life things when they're working all the time? And my hairdresser looked at me and she goes, girl, I have a staff. I have a personal assistant. I have a chef. I have this. I have that. And when you're making Kevin Feige money, you hire as many people as possible to help take away all those extra things so that you can focus.
I remember when I was first thinking about hiring myself an assistant, and I felt like a complete Hollywood douchebag for even the thought of having an assistant. And I remember I talked to you on the phone about that, and I said, I don't know, man, I get all these things I don't have time to do, but isn't it really douchey to have an assistant? And you gave me that speech.
Yes, I have a housekeeper, and you know why? Because first of all, I used to be a massage therapist. That was one of my many I don't want to wait tables jobs. And you know what? Did I feel weird about the fact that people were paying me an obnoxious amount of money to come to their house and like relax them for an hour? No, I didn't feel bad at all. And likewise, I don't feel bad about the fact that I have the ability to pay someone to clean my house. Because you know what? It's going to take them 3 hours what it would take me 3 weeks to do. So my time is more valuable. And if I have the discretionary funds to pay someone to do something that I'm not very good at, and I don't want to do...
We're going off topic here a little bit.
Yes, Kevin Feige's fine. No one needs to worry about Kevin Feige. The man knows what he's doing. We don't need to worry about him.
All right. Let's get on to the next question here. Pat Deary writes... let's see. Over under 50% we see rated R Star Wars material ever. No. And we shouldn't. There's no need for it. There's absolutely no need. You know what would make that Star Wars movie better? If they said fuck. Yeah, that would make the movie better.
Let's see some boobs.
There's absolutely no need whatsoever for any Star. So I'm going to go
Space Today.
And it's owned by Disney, so no. There's
Did you say Space Today?
I did.
Space Todays.
George Lucas already established you can't wear a bra in space, you guys. Come on.
I mean, that's right.
Free
that's
those puppies.
Carrie Fisher. All right. So no way. We're not going to get R-rated Star Wars. Static Space Sean writes, catching up on Blacklist, do you find Liz and her idiot sister annoying?
Apparently you do.
Sending Red to prison to find out a secret that they had no business knowing. By the way, Aaron, you were on Blacklist.
Yes, I was.
Which you were great on, by the way.
Thank you.
It was one of the many times that I had even no freaking idea you were on. And we're just watching it one night. It's like, I think that's Aaron. I had no idea you were
It's
on the
Aaron
show.
with a buzz cut.
But no, I did not. I'm not finding them annoying. Actually, I thought this last 2 seasons ago, I got annoyed with the show. I started to get annoyed with the show 2 seasons ago, but this last season, I actually really got right back on board with it. So, yeah. Are either Chris? Are you following Blacklist?
No.
Oh yeah.
Nerdwire has me watch so many cartoons, you guys. I'm watching really great 12-year-old programming right now.
The best.
Fantastic.
12-year-old programming.
Speaking of which, someone on Twitter reached out to me and said, cartoons are not just for children. Adults watch them too, and I have autism. And I was like, I apologize. Like, I don't think that I ever insinuated that cartoons were just for children. I don't think they are.
I'm literally watching shows from 12 years ago.
I just find that I don't end up going to watch cartoons unless I'm with a child. There's just a lot of stuff to watch, and cartoons make me cry. Between Bambi and Up, I don't know if I ever want to watch a cartoon again.
So,
I
okay.
get too emotional.
Next up, Echo Base Network writes, funny how this drops one day after Bob Iger bombshell. Coincidence? I highly suspect not. No, it's a coincidence. It totally is. There is no. First of all, can we be clear on this? If the bombshell you're referring to is the George Lucas stuff, it's not we knew this for years. We were talking about it on our shows years ago. It is no surprise and no bombshell that George Lucas wasn't happy and didn't agree with the direction they were going with Star Wars. Quite frankly, as a Star Wars fan, I'm not losing any sleep that the guy who made the prequels didn't like the direction the new Star Wars movies are going. The new Star Wars movies are infinitely better than the prequels, so I'm not worried about that. I still worship at the altar of George Lucas and will forever burn incense to his image, but this was no bombshell. This is stuff we've all known for years. We've known all this crap for years, so there was no bombshell. So no, and by the way, it's not like some story got leaked. This is Bob Iger himself telling the story. This is the head of Disney and Lucasfilm and all things Marvel and everything. This is the High Lord Emperor Iger telling the story himself. It's not like some leaked story get out. And there was nothing new. There was nothing new that we didn't already know. So no, there's nothing to it. Ben Rayner writes, who were your first TV character crushes? Who tickled your fancy? Mine was always Jelly from, I have no idea what STTB is. Guys, please never just use abbreviations so I don't know what we're talking about. First TV crushes.
Kirk Cameron and Growing Pains.
Oh, you and a lot of people. What about you?
Peter Parker from Spider-Man, the animated series.
Really? You had a crush on an animated character?
Yeah, I was a little kid, John.
Well, okay,
I loved him. He was a
give you that.
photographer. He liked science. He had very nice pressed pants.
That's true. He had impeccably pressed pants.
He was a good boy, and he would have treated me nice.
Mike Seaver was an actor, and he was going to make me famous. We were going to be a Hollywood couple.
Aww.
Honestly, I don't know that I ever had a TV crush until Jennifer Garner in Alias. I think Jennifer Garner in Alias was my first crush, and she remains my big celebrity crush to this day.
Is it because of the mystery of you'd never know which Jennifer Garner you were getting?
No, there was...
Is that why Anne's so into the cosplay?
No.
Sorry, we're getting a little too personal here.
A little bit graphic. But no, there was something about Jennifer Garner where she has the absolute girl next door feel to her. But I don't know if either of you guys saw Peppermint. That her female John Wick basic movie she did this past year. Awesome. But she's got this total girl next door thing, but she could totally kick your ass and she could sell you on either thing that she's doing. And she has been my hall pass for years.
No. This is what I tell Tom. We are not allowed to have hall passes because if we lived in Milwaukee and you were a high school teacher and Anne was, worked at the bank, yes, you could have hall passes because the likelihood of you running into Jennifer Garner or Anne running into, I don't know, John Cena, who's her hall pass?
Justin Timberlake is her hall pass.
Yeah, there you go. I said to Tom when he mentioned something about hall passes, I was like, absolutely not, because there's a possibility that I could get a movie with Joe Manganiello where we have to go off to Barbados for 3 months. And then, sorry, Tom, he's my hall pass. This is happening. But
they're called hall passes for a reason, Aaron. You're not going to take this away from me.
If I get to work with David Tennant, so be it, Aaron.
That's the point of having a hall pass if it can't possibly happen. To pox on you. All right, we move on. We move on. Do you have a hall pass, Chris?
100% I do. David Tennant. And Logan's is Helen Mirren. So
that's right.
He'll never leave me for a younger woman.
Look,
You know what? My hall pass is Helen Mirren, so I don't blame him.
Can I got so me and Ann and Chris and Logan go for dinner, and Logan
Did me and Tom? Oh, I guess. Oh, sorry. I guess
We were at D23.
We were all at Disneyland. We were at D23. So they happened to
I
be
guess
there.
we missed
We
an
happened to be
invitation,
there, and
too.
we're like, oh, since we're all here, let's just have dinner.
Yeah.
So anyway,
My feelings are
we were having dinner, and Logan says something that I almost coughed up a lung. So I'm going to repeat what he said, and I nearly died. But I think celebrity crushes came up, and Logan mentioned, oh no, dead serious, Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren. He's, I don't care about the age difference. I will fuck her till her hip breaks.
Yep.
And I just about fell out of my chair. I started laughing so hard.
He has a whole bit on this.
He
That
is really down
He
with the
loves
Helen
her.
Mirren.
He was like, I
he's
want a
so
confusing bath from her. I don't know. Like
confusing bath.
a confusing bath.
I don't even understand what that means. That's an
know.
off-camera conversation, apparently. I just love
Honey,
that
are
she
you
won.
watching? Are you in the comments?
I
Chime
just
in.
love that she won an Academy Award for playing the Queen of England, and as she raised her Oscar, we all knew she wasn't wearing any panties because she'd said it on the red carpet.
Yeah.
Like she went commando to the Oscars, and she was like, "And
I'll tell you what. I got to interview her one time, and it was the first time I ever sat in the same room. She's got a presence.
Yes.
Like just in person, she's got this presence that you're like, I'm in a room with somebody who is my better. And she doesn't try to come off like that.
she doesn't need to."
It's just, she's Helen Mirren. She's amazing. Anyway, we need to move on. I still got like 45 other pages of Super Chats to go through. All right, let's see here. Hector Jeter writes, all praise the foot of Feige. Again, all hail the foot of Feige. For either you two guys who don't know what we're talking about when the foot of Feige
That's
comes
the
up.
foot of Feige.
The foot of Feige is, it was kind of an observation I made once that sometimes Marvel fans will just buy anything because it's Marvel. And if it's something Kevin Feige's attached with, we'll do. And I said, look, Kevin Feige could have just got on stage because I didn't think the presentation at D23 was all that great for Marvel. I didn't think it was all that great. And honestly, I thought the stuff they did at Comic-Con was cool, but I said, look, seriously, everybody's losing their mind. Kevin Feige could have stood on stage for 25 minutes, took off his shoe and sock and held up his foot and said, worship the foot of Feige, behold the foot of Feige. And everybody would have said, this is the greatest thing ever. And ever since then, people started making art about the foot of Feige and all praise the foot of Feige. But it's true, Hector, all hail the great foot of Feige. And I, for one, welcome our new foot of Feige overlord. Mr. 47 writes, I finally saw Anna. I actually liked it. It made more sense to me than Atomic Blonde did. If only it had more action. Blonde was too convoluted for me. I liked Anna. I don't know if either of you guys saw that.
No.
Anna that was out a little while ago. Not many people did, and they basically buried the movie. But it was a nice little movie. I still prefer Atomic Blonde. I really now
Was Charlize Theron?
Yes.
Okay, I figured
and
so.
Sophia Botella and James McAvoy. And is it a little convoluted? It is. I mean, it's they take too many twists and turns. I mean, it is a little convoluted. I'm going to give you that, but not ridiculously so. And if you really pay attention and follow the film, you can get through it. But the action was incredible. The performances were great. It was erotic when it needed to be. It was thrilling when it needed to be. It was mysterious when it needed to be. I really liked Atomic Blonde. And that fight scene in the apartment, in the hallways and stuff like that was one of the best fight scenes I've seen in a long time. Did you guys see Atomic Blonde?
No, but I love Charlize Theron as an action hero.
Oh yeah, she's great.
She's
And
just phenomenal and very convincing. It doesn't seem forced at all.
can't wait to see her in Bombshell.
Yeah.
Oh,
And not recognize her at all. Okay, let's see. JW Bassman 20001 writes, who sends in a very big super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel at that level, dude. My top 10 all time. Number 10, Young Guns 2. I'm sure I got to know some people will be happy about that. Number 9, Casablanca. Nice mix in there. Number 8, Back to the Future. Number 7, Inception. Number 6, Braveheart. Good to see Braveheart on that list. Number 5, Gladiator. Number 4, Amadeus. Number 3, Lord of the Rings trilogy. Number 2, Star Wars original trilogy. And number 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Probably will change next week, though. Well,
That's
I
true.
know, of
Keeping
course,
it honest.
we got Joker coming. next week. But I love it when I see these lists where it's a mix. We got some sci-fi, we got some a little bit of a comedy, action, adventure, some deeper stuff with Inception, some Academy Award winners on there with Amadeus. It's a nice list, dude. I like the list, and who knows, maybe Joker. We'll find out. Is it being overhyped, or does it live up to the hype? We'll find out in a few days. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, like me, did you like early Tom Green? Good Canadian kid. Yes. I loved early Tom Green. I really, now if we're talking, when I'm talking early, like before, what was his god-awful movie? Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Yeah.
There was that line in it. Whatever. Before all that, back when he was in the OR, did you guys ever see the OR?
Is that a Canadian show?
It's a rap band. Back when he was younger and he had the rap band called Check the OR, You Like Me So Far, Check the OR, You Like... It's and Tom Green was a rapper. And he used to do, and his stand-up stuff used to be really, really good. As a matter of fact, I even then shared an office with Tom Green. Let me rephrase. When I moved the AMC news division out of the storage closet at the AMC Burbank 16, I found and we opened the big main office that became our main studio space for years afterwards. And there were two units. There was us who had all the big office space, and then there was a hallway with the bathrooms in it. And the offices across the hallway was Tom Green with his streaming show. And we went a while without bumping into each other, and then we finally did. And
then you flew the Canadian flag out of your door, and he passed by, and he was like, my brother.
Yeah, then we were like, it's a brotherhood.
I feel the same way about Tom Green as I do about Andy Samberg. Like, when he sticks to, like the videos, which it sounds like the OR and the
Lonely
Island stuff.
I love Lonely Island.
But I don't want to see an entire movie starring Andy Samberg. It's just too much. I don't want to see an entire movie starring Tom Green. It's just too much. You know, I want a little peppering of Tom Green. I don't want a Tom Green sauce.
I'll tell you what, though. Did you see Never Stop, Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping? It's got
So
the whole Lonely
funny.
Island group in it. It is hilarious.
Okay.
It
I don't
didn't
know
do
what that
great, but it is absolutely fabulous. I
Pop
love
Never
it.
Stop what?
Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping. But I think is that what it's called?
Pop Star.
Something, Never Stop, Never
Pop.
Stopping.
Okay, but see, that's different. That's the Lonely Island crew
Yes.
doing their thing. That's not Andy Samberg just like being.
Well, he doesn't do a lot other than Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Nine-Nine,
He
which
doesn't
is
do
so
a lot.
good.
Yeah, but I haven't seen him do a lot like leading stuff on his own, right?
But
He
what I'm
steals
sa-
Dark Crystal.
But what I'm saying is,
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's
he's
right, Dark
the
Crystal.
type of. I guess I'm just using him as an example of like, I like Andy Samberg, but I wouldn't want to go see an Andy Samberg movie.
Oh, Rob
That's what I-
Schneider is the same to me. I love Rob Schneider in smaller comedics. When he pops up in something, he can add a lot to a movie in small parts. But I'm not a big fan of him. Rob Schneider is a carrot. You know, I'm not big into watching, you know, The Hot Girl or whatever it was. I'm not. But when he's in there adding to
as a
film,
supplemental character
I
to
love him.
Yeah,
I get excited when he pops up and stuff like that. Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that. Okay, sorry, we spent way too much time on that. Ike Moore writes. Good Boys almost at 100 million. May not seem like a lot, but for a comedy released in 2019, it's major. I don't know that I'd call it major. I mean, it still is mediocre. This is a funny movie, though. Like, it's Good Boys is not on the level of, say, like a 40-Year-Old Virgin, which is not just a great comedy, it's a great movie. And it asks deeper questions. It does higher level stuff, but in a funny sort of way. It's my all-time favorite comedy. Good Boys, take away the comedy, Good Boys isn't that good of a movie. But as a comedy, I laughed a lot.
How many times do you think you could see Good Boys?
Well, I've already seen it twice. I could watch it a couple more times.
Okay. All right,
I
that's
could watch
legit.
it. I mean, it's not 40-Year-Old Virgin that I could watch it 30, 40, 50 times.
Right.
But there's so many good laughs in it that I could watch it a few times. So anyway, I'm glad to see it make any dollar it can because I think it deserves it. All right. Kevin Lewis writes, hold until relieved. I don't know. You got to
Are you
quote
talking
around
about
it.
Aaron peeing again?
Oh.
No, he's got quotes on it, so I'm guessing that's a movie quote, but I don't recognize it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Nay writes, yes, 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 and I'm not even the biggest Marvel fan. I mean, again, that's the thing. Look, I always say, guys, it's never a mistake to add talent. It's never a mistake to add talent. Sometimes it's a little over the top, whatever, but it's never a mistake to add this to this. But, Aaron, you don't even have to be the biggest Star Wars fan in the world to hear Kevin Feige doing a Star Wars movie. Like, that's good news, right?
Absolutely, because you want to know that movies that do have a big fan base are attaching talented people to them to continue the success. And that, I mean, like, if you heard that the new Star Wars film was being handed to someone who had just graduated from film school and had a short in Sundance, like, what? That's crazy. No, you want for these films to go in capable hands that have proven their worth, and nobody's got that more than Kevin Feige.
Chris?
Agreed. I concur.
I concur. Doctor, do you concur? I concur. What was that? Oh, yeah, Catch Me If You Can. All right. Let's see. Mr. 47 writes, saw Midsommar, just mad, too long, not really surprising, not scary, not funny. Didn't care for the plot or characters. Hereditary was much better. You know what? I agree. But I didn't. It sounds like you straight up disliked it, Mista. But I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I don't know. To me, it was. I said this to Rob the other day because Rob liked it quite a bit, but he didn't love it. But he liked it quite a bit. It felt to me like it was a movie that was trying too hard, a little bit. You know what? For those of you who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Again, I liked it, but. It just felt like it was trying to hard. Did either of you guys get around to seeing Midsommar?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Of course, Chris was not going to go see it. So yes, little A24 horror film, but I agree completely. Hereditary was the better film. I completely agree. All right, gotta love them movies. Sends in a big super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level, dude. All right, gotta love them movies. Writes current mood. Number 10, Dark Knight. Number 9, It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World. Nice. Number 8, Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
Number 7, Inceptions. Number 6, Empire Records.
Well done.
With Johnny Whitworth in there. Number 5, Psycho. Number 4, Dead Poets Society. Oh, Captain, my Captain. Number 3, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. Number 2, The Blues Brothers were on a mission from God. And number 1, the original Jurassic Park. And, you know, that being said, Aaron, you being here, of course, one of our big stories yesterday was they made the announcement. The original Jurassic Park crew, the original big three of Jurassic Park coming back for Jurassic World 3. I didn't get a chance to ask you. You excited about that? Do you like that notion? What do you think?
I just love that the photo that's being used in all of these promotions is the sexiest photo of Jeff Goldblum.
Of course, they always use that one.
I mean, oh my God. Well, you know, Tom has a T-shirt of shirtless Jeff Goldblum.
Of course
and
he does.
wears it all the time.
My friend Whitney has that shirt too.
Oh, and like you can barely even tell that it's Jeff Goldblum because it's so faded. Like I need to get him a new one because he wears it so often. My dream scenario is that we are just like out at the Grove or something and that Jeff Goldblum and him come face to face and he happens to be wearing it. That would be my dream. But yes, I'm thrilled about this. I definitely this will redeem the Jurassic Enterprise for me because as we know, the world lost me with BDH. I was like, no, girl, put some shoes on. Can't handle it. Nope.
Speaking of that, running to Jeff Goldblum, I don't know if I ever told you this story. Some of you guys have heard this before. I was at Comic-Con one year. This is a number of years ago. It was the year that Tucker and Dale versus Evil came out with Alan Tudyk.
Love that movie.
So funny. But I was coming out of one press room. Right, I literally think I was just talking to Robert Downey Jr. about something, a video.
Here's the funny thing.
No, I'm talking to Robert Downey Jr. about MCU stuff, right? And this is why one of the reasons why I stopped doing press junkets, and put up the video, and the video got like, I kid you not, I put up a video about why I love popcorn at the movies. The day before I put up my video of my exclusive sit down talk with Robert Downey Jr. at Comic-Con. My popcorn video got about 15,000 views. My discussion with Robert Downey Jr., 500 views. Yeah, no, that's part of the reason why I just gave up going to press junkets. It's like they're useless. Anyway, so I came out of
for when you interviewed Vin Diesel and he talked about how much he loved you on the show and that he's a fan.
That was special. That's very special. But I came walking out of this one room. This is go to your thing about what you would like to have happen with Tom. And we passed. I was with my buddy Chuck Norris, who you know, He edited the anniversary.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like
The real
I'm Chuck Norris.
Yeah, I was like,
No, Chuck Norris is actually a friend of mine. That's his real name. He's an
I have
editor.
a friend whose real name is Andy Sandberg.
Well, there you go. So me and Chuck were walking out of that one room because he shot it for me, and we're walking by another press room, and it's got the big standee for Tucker and Dale versus Evil standing in front of it, right? And I pause for a second, and I just go, oh my God, I love Alan Tudyk. I love this guy. And the moment I said that, right around the corner as I was saying that, I love this guy, comes Andy Tudyk face to face with me, and he just looks at me, and he's like, and all he does is this. He smiles, he goes, and then walks back into the press room to keep doing his interviews.
I love him. He bought Logan a bottle of vodka on his birthday when they ran into each other at Gelson's.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, what
he
a
is one of
dude.
Logan's favorite actors, to the point when Logan first moved here, he had a picture of Wash in his wallet. And so he was having the worst birthday. His friends took him out for sushi, and they all forgot their wallets. And so they were like, well, we'll pay you back later.
What?
No one to this day has ever paid him back. I didn't live in the state at the time. They're supposed to go to the Ass Cat show at UCB. Everyone gets in except for him. And they're like, well, I guess we'll figure out something else or we'll skip the show. We don't have to go if you're not going, Logan. He's like, yeah, we're not going to go. Like, I'm not going to spend my birthday alone. I'm going to go to Gelson's. I'm going to drink and we're going to play video games at my house. This sucks. You all suck. And so he's in Gelson's and he sees Alan Tudyk and tells him, man, this has made my entire birthday.
And
Thank
he
you so
was
much.
keeping a picture of Wash.
He had Wash in his wallet. He had Wash in his wallet with his best friend Peter Shire. And he tells him all of this. And he's like, man, I'm sorry you're having such a bad birthday. He's like, I'm not. Now I got to meet you. And you're one of my favorite actors. I respect you so much. And I followed your career. I love you. It's like, oh, man, you want that for your birthday? And just buys him some vodka. And
nice.
they parted ways. And he was super, super sweet to him.
One of the big, of course, he's the voice of K2SO in
Yes.
Rogue One, which everybody loves him
King
as a voice of that.
Candy in Wreck-It Ralph.
But at D23, so they're doing a show with what's the name of the character again from Rogue One? They're doing the spin-off.
The Diego Luna character?
Yeah, what was why am I Andor, Cassian. So they're doing a spin-off show on Disney Plus with Cassian Andor and Alan Tudyk as K2SO, and they were on the stage with Kathy Kennedy, and they announced that we're not announcing the title for the show yet. They said that from the stage, and Alan Tudyk's like, I've got an idea for the name of the show, and they, what is it? He goes, K2 Fast, K2 Furious. And I thought, right there, this is why I love Alan Tudyk. This is why I love Alan Tudyk. Anyway, I don't know how we got on that, but we still have more questions to go. All right, Orange Hand writes, one of two, regarding the discussion yesterday about film and TV teaching morality, is it fair to call out studios and networks when they don't adhere to their own professional values? Example, a network claimed to portray mature content in a responsible way, yet one of their shows trivialized child sexual abuse. I honestly, here's the thing. First of all, whether they trivialized it or not is up to an individual interpretation. What one person might see is they're trivializing it. They might say, no, we were not trivializing it. So we got to be careful about painting with broad strokes. I don't believe it is artists' responsibility to teach morality. Now, they can tell stories about morality, and they can tell stories about heroes that we will attach ourselves to, who have a code and have a moral compass and stuff like that. But it's not the job of artists to tell those stories. It's not the job of artists to say, well, we can't tell this story because it doesn't adhere to a moral. No, tell your stories. And then it's up to individuals like us if we want to watch those stories or not. A lot of times we won't, sometimes we will. But no, I really don't believe, I agree with Joaquin Phoenix's statement when he says it's not up to filmmakers to teach morality. It's up to filmmakers to tell stories that make us think about morality. It's up to filmmakers to tell stories that make us think about the world we live in and the world we want to live in, the worlds we want to avoid, to think about ourselves, to think about the world around us. That's what the job of the artist is. It is not the job of the artist to say, this is our moral standard and we're only going to tell stories that fit that moral standard. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Now, I don't think they should have a lot of TNA and a SpongeBob SquarePants thing when you're showing it to kids. That's different. But if you're making R-rated material and you want to have themes and subject matter and whatever, then it's up to the audience to decide if they like it or not. But there shouldn't be some sort of restriction put on artists in telling those stories, because the purpose of those stories is to make us think and for us to come to our own conclusions. That's the point. At least that's how I feel. Aaron, as somebody who works in that world, do you ever feel that? Because, look, you worked on a very R-rated show. You worked on Spartacus and stuff like that, where there's a lot of violence, there's sexual content, all that kind of stuff. And it's my third favorite television show of all time. But, like, where are you sitting on that as far as the role of the artist and morality and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I think I agree with you. Artists tell stories, and every artist, every filmmaker is telling a story from their perspective of hopefully their lived experience, or an experience that they feel needs to have a light, shining on it. I've never actually heard of any filmmaker saying, I want to make this movie because I really feel like we need to teach people a lesson in how to blah, 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 blah. I always hear people that say, you know what, this is a story that really has never been told, or I have a unique spin on how this story should be told, or, you know what, this was my lived experience. I hear a lot of people saying things like, oh, there's this political agenda that's being pushed and they're trying to push this. No, I think people go, well, this was my experience growing up in these conditions or this environment, and now I want to tell that story about how I grew up, or about this person that inspired me as I was growing up. No, I don't think that it's the job or the responsibility of filmmakers to hold the moral compass up for society. At the same time, if you are a filmmaker, you then have to look at the world around you and go, okay, well, do I want my movie to be something that people are going to resonate with, that people are going to appreciate? If you're trying to make a film in 2019 that doesn't, how do I say this, that maybe goes against the grain for the awareness that people have today, and you're using certain phrases, certain words, showing certain images that maybe were acceptable in the 70s that audiences don't necessarily respond to in the same way now. Sure, you can do that all you want, but don't be surprised if people don't want to watch your movie. And that's the risk that you take. And if you're someone that sits at home and you're like, I don't understand why all these movies are PC, and I don't understand why they're not showing more of this and more of that, you know what? Go make that movie. Go make that movie. Go find that financing. Go write that film. Go find your cast and crew. Go do your post-production, and then put it in theaters, and then you can see if that's what people want to watch. It's not our responsibility also to make sure that for every left-leaning movie, there's a right-leaning movie. For every movie that has like a strong moral compass, there's a movie that has nothing but tits and ass and gore. Like, I don't think that that's Hollywood's responsibility either, is to make sure that every single person has a movie that fulfills what they want to see.
And again, it comes down to then the arbiter of that has to be the audience. Like, you guys decide. I remember I used to say this a long time ago. I said, well, when a lot of questions were coming up, like there's no like gay representation in movies and stuff like this. And I said this, look, and this was going back years ago. Like, it might have been early AMC days, but I remember saying this at the time. I said, look, the movie business is a business. I said, you start supporting, you start going out and seeing, when the studio starts saying, oh, look, we can have a gay character, and people will support it. Then I said, it ain't about morality to the studios. It's about money.
Exactly.
And you show them. See, the thing is, they made Black Panther, and that was a huge statement because the audience said, you make a superhero movie with a black lead character. It's not that automatically becomes the formula for making money, but we'll show you, yeah, we will support that as well. And that's all right then.
I had a producer actually tell me, I was doing a film, and I had a producer actually say to me, and he was dead serious. He said, you'll never see a movie in Hollywood that is successful that stars a predominantly black cast, because people in other countries, people overseas, don't want to see black people on their films. He actually said that to me with a straight face, and there were a lot of people that believe that. And then all of a sudden, you have movies that come out that do billions of, or that do really well. I mean, look at after Catwoman. Everyone said, you can't make a superhero movie starring a woman. It's just not going to work. And then Wonder Woman came out, and everybody's like, oh, God, what's the next superhero movie starring a woman? We got to hurry up and find one. It doesn't work until it works. And
Right.
I believe I cut you off, but were you saying that if you want to see more of X in movies, then the movies that are having those things already, you should go and support them.
Yeah, it goes back to the conversation we had the other day about, the hypocrisy of film fans when we talk about, Hollywood doesn't make original films. No, Hollywood makes more original films today than in any other time in Hollywood history. You just don't support it.
Exactly.
And if you want more of those films, go and support more of them. I mean, sometimes it means they're going to be good or they're going to be bad, but whatever. But anyway, we got to move on. Last question we've got for you guys, since I've got you guys here right now, is Christopher Chow writes, Feige may produce the next Star Wars film. Is Iger hinting at replacing Kathleen Kennedy for Feige? Maybe this is a test to see if Feige can succeed with Star Wars. I don't believe so at all. Number one, they just re-upped Kathleen Kennedy.
Exactly.
Like, it's not just that she's got a couple of years left, it's that they just re-upped her for those extra years. So there's not that. Secondly, to Kevin Feige, I believe, again, I have no insider information on this, that's just a lateral move. Like, if you're a vice president, you want to become a senior vice president or a president. You don't want to just get transferred to another division and still be vice president. Like, instead of vice president of this division, now I'm vice president. To Feige and what he has accomplished, he is simply the most successful producer in Hollywood history. Your next move isn't a lateral move. It's not a lateral move. Your next move is going to something bigger. And what's next bigger? Alan Horn's job. Because Alan Horn's got to be looking for a way out. Because Bob Iger had to talk him out of retirement. But Alan Horn was living the life. He is, by the way, didn't know that, for those of you who know, he is he was on the cover of Black Belt magazine back in like the early 80s, late 70s. Like, he is a martial artist.
Oh, wow.
All that good stuff. So he was like sipping
magazine.
Mai Tais in his dojo and his gi, laying on the beach with, family, friends, relaxing, living the good life. And Bob Iger says, hey, I need you to come out of retirement and come run the movie division at Disney. So he did, but that was years ago. He wants to retire again, but he's got to have an heir apparent. And I think that's it. So that's why I don't think that Star Wars is his next move. I think he's going to make Star Wars movie because he's always wanted to make a Star Wars movie. I don't think that's his next move. I really don't. And so we'll have to wait and see. Let's see. Will Wonder Woman be the next? This is R. Ryan. It says, will Wonder Woman be the second female hero to reach $1 billion? I don't know. I'm going to say this. The possibility exists. It's certainly a possibility. I am a little, because here's the thing, guys. I would have thought, we talked about the Lego Batman movie the other day. The first Lego movie comes out. I had all the doubts in the world about that movie, and I loved it. Loved it. Everybody loved it. It was successful financially, critically, audiences loved it, all that kind of stuff. So the Lego Batman movie comes out, maybe the most beloved character out of that first Lego movie, with Will Arnett doing the voice of Batman. The movie is outstanding. It's fabulous, but it took a massive dip at the box office. Traditional philosophy on this would say, hey, Wonder Woman the audiences loved it, the critics loved it, it made over $800 million, it's just going to go up. The sequel will just go up. But I don't know if I believe in that as firmly as I used to, because I'm seeing a few movies that had successful first ones, the second ones come out and they actually take a little bit of a dip. So all I know is I think it's definitely a possibility. I wouldn't count against it. It's going to do great regardless of where. And by the way, it does not need to hit $1 billion to be successful. Yeah. Let's just be clear about that. Because there's some idiot out there right now that's going, oh, if the Wonder Woman 84 only makes $960 million, it failed.
They'll never make a movie with a woman again.
Yeah, it's huge. So right, I'd say it's a coin toss. I'd say it's a coin toss about whether, but again, we won't really know how to answer that question until we see it.
Yeah.
Once we see it, and then determine whether it'll have legs, whether we think people will go back to see it a second, third, and fourth time, whether they will spread positive word of mouth about it. Those are questions we can't answer until we see it. But if Patty Jenkins is back, first one successful, Aquaman just made $1 billion, they made a fantastic film with Shazam, I'm going to call it a 50-50 shot. What do you think the odds are?
I think it has very high odds. The success of the first one, I think, is only going to propel more people to watch the second one. I think that more and more young... And I'm sorry, I really do think that there's a whole generation of little girls that haven't been told, hey, you're allowed to really enjoy comic book movies. And with Wonder Woman, they see themselves represented on screen. I got into a huge argument with this guy that was like, that doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, well, you're a dude. You've been growing up. You're a white dude. You've grown up your entire life seeing people who look like you on the movie screen getting to be a badass and fight. I didn't grow up with that. And so it does make a difference. And it is definite. I think that it's going to do very, very well. And all I have to say is go, Patty, go. Go, Patty, go. Go, Patty, go.
What do you think, Chris?
I am very, very optimistic that this is going to do well. And I'd give it like a 75% chance of hitting $1 billion. Mostly because this movie's been so cloaked in secrecy when it comes to its plot. And we know that Kristen Wiig is the cheetah. We don't know who Pedro's playing. And there is a male cheetah in the DC Comics. So I'm hoping we do some really, really cool, like, canon story with, like, the curse of the cheetah going through other people. We have a whole bunch of stuff there that we can work with for the other movies. I'm really, really pumped. We don't know why Chris Pine is back. What's he doing there? What you doing, Chris?
I have to tell you something.
Uh-huh.
I have some late breaking news. The male cheetah is actually played by Adam Devine.
What?
I'm kidding. I don't know. Just kidding.
Jeez, don't do that.
I'm going to Atlanta.
That's
Bye-bye.
that's what you were saying about, little girls being able to go in and see that. It's not a fictitious thing. Like my friend Christian Harloff, he's got a daughter, and he was telling me the story, and I cannot remember if it was Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel. I can't remember which one it was. Mm-hmm. But he was telling me the story about seeing the movie with his daughter, and I'm pretty sure it was Christian that did. Yeah, it might have been one of my other friends with the daughter, but I think it was Christian. And he was telling me, the look on her face. She was just wowed by it all. She was wowed by it. She got to see a girl hero on screen. And I think that's something I know me in particular as a guy, I can't relate to that because it's always been catered to me. Mm-hmm. My whole life, those movies have been catered to me. So I take for granted how special that must be for a kid. Like, as a kid, I get to see Luke Skywalker doing this, and I get to see Superman doing that, and I get to see Batman doing that, and I get to see all that. It means a lot.
But here's my thing, though. The difference, and I really appreciate you saying that, because I know that a lot of men specifically who watch your show may not necessarily understand, like, what's the big deal, and hearing you say that will resonate with people. And here's what it means to me, because I'm not a little girl, I'm a big girl, and when I watched the movie, I watched Wonder Woman with wonder and with awe, because when I watch Captain America, when I watch Superman, when I watch any superhero movie, I am detached because I'm watching somebody else's story. When I watched Wonder Woman for the first time, I wasn't watching Wonder Woman. I saw myself. So
Right.
when you're watching Batman, you're able, John, to see yourself as Batman. You're able to see yourself as Superman. I could never see myself as those characters. For the first time, I saw myself flying through the air. I saw myself being the hero, and I never felt that before. And it gave me chills, and I went, oh, this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like to feel like a hero. And I love that feeling, and it makes me so happy that now we can all share in that experience.
Well, listen, guys, that's all the time we have today for Chris and Aaron being here. They've got things they need to run off and do. But first of all, it's great news that you landed another show that I'm sure you'll share with everybody soon. I know what it is, but we can't share that with everybody yet. But the bad news means we're going to be missing you for 3 or 4 weeks. So we'll just have to hear from you. You know what? Do us a favor, though. When you're on set, send us a video message or something that we can play on the show. So anyway, where can people find you online in the meantime?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Aaron L. Cummings. You can also listen to my podcast at Kappa Kappa Cancer. If you missed the premiere of All Rise, I hope that you will go to CBS All Access and check it out. And, I was going to say you can watch me on Lucifer, but that won't be for a long time.
Yeah. When does that come out? Like, it'll be 2022.
Season 5 will be on Netflix sometime.
In 2020, right.
I don't know. But so Instagram and Twitter, I'm at Aaron L. Cummings. Or if you want to go to Facebook and check out my post from like a year ago, because I haven't been there since, you can go to Aaron Cummings fan page.
And also joining us, of course, today was Chris Carr. Chris, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at actor Chris Carr, or you can go over to the Nerdwire page on YouTube for all my videos on cartoons, lore, and more.
Well, it was awesome having both of you guys here for Pantsless Thursdays. Thank you so much, guys. All right, for the rest of you guys, we still have about another half hour to go of answering questions. By the way, guys, for those of you who are Patreon supporters, Discord server. We're going to have about a half hour John Campea Show post-show chat over on the Discord channel about 15 minutes after we wrap the show today. I'll jump on over there and join you guys. We can talk about all the stuff that we talked about here today. I hope to see you guys in there. All right, let's keep things moving here with the live questions. This one comes to us from Gotta Love Them Movies, who writes, I just wanted to share good news. Always good to hear good news. Landed a new job working on a cruise ship as a comedian. That's awesome. Start the week after next. Couldn't be more thrilled. I remember a lot of my friends when I was younger were musicians, and it was always like the dream job. Like when you weren't making it big as a rock star, if you were a musician, one of the dream jobs was landing a gig on a cruise ship. It was landing a gig on a cruise ship was one of the big jobs everybody wanted to get. So that sounds great, man. Congratulations. Always great when you can land a new gig, and that sounds like a fun one. Enjoy yourself. Gotta love them movies. Thanks for sharing that. Hoser Miaz writes, the reason why Ghost Rider TV show was canceled because Marvel Studios already having plans to introduce the character in a future film or Blade. I don't agree with that at all. I think if that were the case, they never would have got going on they never would have started on bringing a Ghost Rider thing. Kevin Feige is not a guy. Okay, again, it's not impossible. It's not impossible. But I'm saying I don't think that's the case because Kevin Feige has proven over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, he is not a guy who makes decisions just like that. He plans well in advance. I mean, how many people thought once they announced that X-Men were coming over, everybody thought I was an idiot when I said, guys, you're not going to see X-Men in Endgame. There's not going to be a post-credit scene with Fantastic Four. You're not going to see Wolverine pop up in a post-credit scene in Endgame. Everybody said I was stupid. I said, guys, that's not how Kevin Feige operates. He's not going to do that. Well, then we're going to see an X-Men movie right away in 2019 or 2020 or 2021. No, we're not. And of course, then came Comic-Con. They listing nothing X-Men, nothing Fantastic Four. He takes his time. He plans years in advance. And here's the thing. If Ghost Rider, if what Kevin Feige wanted was Ghost Rider in the MCU, they never would have started with the whole Hulu show in the first place. Kevin Feige didn't just wake up yesterday and go, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I think I want Ghost Rider in the MCU now. Pull the plug on the TV show. That's not how it happens. That's not how it happens. So again, I ain't going to sit here and say, I'm simply explaining why I don't believe that's the case. I am not saying it's impossible. It is possible, I suppose, but it flies in the face of everything we know about how Kevin Feige operates. If Kevin Feige was going to use Ghostbusters, he would have had a 4-year in advance plan for doing it, and they never would have announced they were doing a Ghost Rider TV show in the first place. For them to do it here, I don't think that's the case at all. And I think Feige's proven that over and over and over and over again. Again, not impossible, but I don't agree, and that's why I don't agree. All right, Spencer Smothers writes, we all know that there's only one story that Kevin Feige can tell in the Star Wars universe, Patton Oswalt's filibuster speech from Parks and Recs. Guys, Spencer, I'm so glad you brought that up. Guys, again, I'm still shocked how many of you have not seen this. If you guys have never seen the iconic Patton Oswalt filibuster scene in Parks and Rec, where he goes on about his idea of a giant MCU and Star Wars epic crossover, you've got to look it up on YouTube and watch it. Take Spencer's advice and go see it, because that's what Kevin Feige's going to do. All right, Kevin Lewis writes, the two actors in The Thing with Two Heads, 1972. No idea. I don't even remember the movie at all, to be honest with you, Kevin. Matsif Jada writes, the new Irishman trailer looks better. De Niro, 25 years younger. I'll say this. This new trailer for The Irishman that came out looks better. I still don't think it looks great, but it looks better. It certainly does look better. Give you more of an idea of the scope of the movie. It certainly gives you an idea for how much time they traverse. The de-aging technology doesn't look as good as it does on Will Smith and Gemini Man, but still, particularly on Joe Pesci, it looked pretty good. We'll have to wait and see how this turns out. Justin Majaro writes, a fan since the AMC only had 16,000 subscribers. Hashtag inspired still. Oh, thank you so much, Justin. I appreciate that. That was a long time ago, man. That was like when we were still just really getting the ball rolling. And I still remember when we hit 15,000 subscribers. I still remember that. When we hit 15,000 subscribers, I remember I was in Las Vegas at the time. Actually, that was one of the times I was working. I was in Las Vegas at the time. We had 15,000 subscribers, and me and the team, we all got on the phone with each other. Oh my God, we hit 15,000 subscribers. That's going back a ways, Justin. Thanks for sharing that, dude. All right, Mad1306 writes, binge watch Carnival Row with the wife. We loved it. Can't wait until season 2. I watched the first episode of Carnival Row with Anne. And I wasn't taken with it, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I haven't seen episode 2, but my wife liked it enough that Anne went on and she's completed first season. And my wife has been telling me, John, you got to go back and watch the rest of Carnival Row. I think you're really going to like it. So I've had a number of people, including my wife, telling me that, Mad. So I think I got to get on my horse there and finish off that season. All right, J Meister 25 writes, help us, Kevin Feige. You're our only hope, Lucasfilm. Well, again, they're doing fine, but it's never a mistake to add talent on this level, man. I'm very excited about it. Bullet 1510 writes, one of two. I can hardly wait for Shang-Chi. I'm expecting Tony Leung to completely steal the show as the real Mandarin. He's such a charismatic, nuanced performer, so talented. My top 5 Tony Leung films. Oh, here we go. Happy Together. Cyclo, I've not seen that one. Chung King Express, that one I also haven't seen. Ashes of Time, and my number 1, Hard Boiled. He's done a lot of good stuff, man. He's done a lot of good stuff. Here's the thing about Shang-Chi. The thing about this movie is it represents a real... I don't think enough people are really considering how important this film is. This movie is incredibly important. It's not just that it could be cool. It's not just that it could be, Asian representation in the movies. It's not just that. It's the fact that it's kind of becoming the representative of the new MCU. I'm not saying that Shang-Chi is now the face of the MCU. I'm not saying that, but it kind of represents, as a movie, the fact that the MCU is now a different place. Spider-Man's gone. Iron Man's gone. Captain America's gone. The 3 most popular characters of the MCU are gone. And now it's Saved by the Bell, the new class. And I think Shang-Chi is a real representation of that, which adds, I believe, to the importance. It doesn't have to be $1 billion film. Don't get me wrong. Not at all. But it needs to be a good film. It needs to be a film that reassures the fan base that the MCU is still awesome. Even though the Infinity Saga's done, we've lost Spider-Man, we've lost Captain America, we've lost Iron Man, all that kind of stuff. But the MCU is still the MCU. And I think Shang-Chi becomes a real representation of that. Shang-Chi becomes a real representation of that. And that's why I think it's an important film. And by the way, Bullet, just let me say, how dare you, sir, have the best of list and not have Infernal Affairs on that list? How dare you? Anyway, good list nonetheless. Like I said, there are a couple on there I haven't seen. All right, let's see. Superman Steve writes, John, did you see that A Quiet Place 2 just wrapped? I'm so ready for the sequel. So excited. Yep, that was one of our topics off the top. Very excited for it. Again, I thought it was the best film of the year, the original. I thought it deserved a Best Picture nomination. I still don't know how it didn't even get nominated. I love that film. Cannot wait for the second one. Lee Mallinson writes, bad enough having one studio making all our major blockbusters. Now it looks like it's going to be one man producing them. Not good news for diverse movies. Well, I mean, I have no problem with that. It's the issue because it's at least it's not comic book movies, right? At least it's not comic book movies. The fact that he's branching out and trying a completely different universe, a completely different genre of film, really, I think is great. For him to get in there and try that, I think it's great. And by the way, I would be more concerned if like all the MCU movies were the same, but they're not. Some are comedies, some are political thrillers, some are mysteries, some are like, I mean, one of the things Kevin Feige has done with the MCU is done a lot of genre bending, which I think has worked out great. And that's why I'm excited to see what he do, because it's completely outside of what he's been doing. It's not another MCU movie. It's a different genre. It's a space sci-fi movie. It's a celebrated, iconic property and IP in the movie industry. So yeah, I'm pretty excited, man. I'm pretty excited. Again, nothing guarantees it'll work, but I got high hopes. All right, Ivan Gonzalez sends in a big super chat. Thank you, Ivan, for supporting the channel on that level, dude. I appreciate that. Ivan writes, "Hey, John, long-time listener here, and I just wanted to say how much I love the show and all of you in the studio as well. You guys are one in a few bright spots in my day that just keeps me going. Thank you all for what you do." Well, thank you so much for saying that, Ivan. You know, again, it's the beauty of movies and the movie fandom, dude. We get to, no matter what crap is going on in our lives, we can watch movies, imagine ourselves in different places, different times, give our brains a little bit of a reprieve, a little bit of an oasis, so we can come back into the crap we got to deal with in our lives, refreshed, renewed, and maybe with a little bit of a fresh perspective. And we get to talk with other film fans and do that as well. It is one of the things that I love doing every day. It's the reason I love doing this show. It's because I just get to come in here with you guys, my fellow film fans, and we just talk about the best things in the world. We talk about movies. And whether we're agreeing or disagreeing, it's all fun. We just get to talk about the movies. And that's what I love. And I'm glad that that's a significant part for you as well, Ivan. So I am honored that you're here and a part of that community. And thanks for sharing your thoughts, dude. I appreciate that, man. All right. Paige Chandri writes, "Hey, John Campea crew, it's my birthday. Oh my God, I'm 40, going to watch my two favorites, Fried Green Tomatoes and Empire Records." A guy I know, Johnny Whitworth, is in Empire Records. Fried Green Tomatoes, that's a movie that doesn't get talked about. That was a great movie. Fried Green Tomatoes is a great movie. That's one that doesn't get mentioned nearly enough. Anyway, happy birthday, dude. I hope you have a fabulous day for yourself and a fabulous year ahead. Hope you have a good one. Thank you for spending a part of your birthday with us here, your fellow film fans, man. So have a great one. Happy birthday again. All right. Ivan Gonzalez writes in again, writes, "Aaron," who is not here anymore, unfortunately, "you killed it in All Rise. Gil," you probably meant girl. "I love it, and I just wish you the best and hope soon to see an Emmy or Oscar. Who knows? But what if Chris, love you, girl, hashtag kiss kiss gangbang. Also, slay my darling, slay." Yeah, for those of you who missed it, Erin did her, she was in the premiere of the new show, All Rise. She's a recurring character. And that means she's not in every episode, but she'll pop up in a number of episodes this season. And she just booked, and of course that comes on a year that she was in Flash this year. She recently was in Blacklist, and now we're not allowed to tell you what show it is, but she just landed a role in a new show that she's going to be a recurring character on, but she's going to be shooting for 3 or 4 weeks. She just shot her stuff for Lucifer. Man, and of course she gets to be on the John Campea Show. So what an incredible run that Erin is on right now. It's just awesome. So thank you. I'll make sure I pass those well wishes along to them, Ivan. Thanks for sharing that, dude. All right. Jedi Lori writes, "Couldn't be more excited about Feige. Finally, someone with class who won't call me a woman sexist or racist because I don't like their movies like Ryan and KK did." Let's be very, very clear. Like, I reject that. Let's put that bullshit away. Let's just put that bullshit away. Ryan, let's be very, very clear, a deluge of sexist and racist stuff that got thrown in. These people who try to rewrite history, no, there wasn't. Nobody said anything racist or sexist about it. Yes, there was. There was shitloads of it. Shitloads of it. Not from everybody, not from the majority, but there was shitloads of it. And what Ryan Johnson did and what Kathleen Kennedy did is they specifically called out that bullshit. And it was there. Stop pretending like it wasn't there. Stop pretending like people didn't go and rewrite, Wikipedia pages defining the Rose character as Ching Chong Ching Chang. Let's stop pretending like that didn't exist. Let's stop pretending like troves of garbage got thrown at this movie that it did. Again, not everybody who didn't like the movie was that. As a matter of fact, it was the minority of people who didn't like the movie that acted like that. The majority of people who didn't like the movie acted in perfectly good, healthy film fandom ways who didn't like a movie. But there was that segment. And they were loud, and they were vocal, and they were disgusting, and they were brutal. And Kathleen Kennedy and Ryan Johnson were always very clearly referring to those people. And I find it incredibly disingenuous for people to act like, well, Ryan Johnson's saying that about anybody who didn't like the movie. No, Rian Johnson never said that. Kathleen Kennedy says about anybody who didn't like it. No, Kathleen Kennedy never said that. They were always referring to those people who were very much there, that now today some people like to rewrite history and pretend that that segment didn't exist. They were there. And they were disgusting. And they were horrific. And it made you lose faith in humanity. But they were there. Rian Johnson has never said that anybody who didn't like my movie was just didn't like it because they were racist and sexist. He never said that. He never said that. And it is disingenuous to pretend like somebody said something that they didn't say. And they never did say that. They never did. So just put that bullshit away, because that's bullshit. And it propels and it perpetuates a false narrative that was never true. That was never true. They called out the sexist and racist bullshit because it was there. But they never ever said that everybody who didn't like our movie only didn't like it because it was sexist and racist. People like to make that shit up to make it look bad, but that's not what happened. That's not what happened. You know? You're allowed to not like The Last Jedi. A lot of people don't. And a lot of people don't as totally fair film fans. They just watched the movie. It did not work for them. But there was a very dark corner of the fandom. Let's not pretend that it wasn't there. There was a very dark corner of the fandom that were pathetic, sexist, racist little bitches. There were. They're the minority. You know, I've got a number of friends who didn't like The Last Jedi, and they all didn't like it because the movie wasn't good to them. And it didn't work for them. They didn't like it. They thought it was a bad film. Fair enough. But that segment did exist and does exist. And there was nothing wrong with Kathleen Kennedy or Rian Johnson calling them out. And never once did either of them say anybody who doesn't like this film doesn't like it because of that. That is a fake narrative that people trying to cover their asses and propel their own agendas try to paint. Because I'll tell you what, if they did say that, I'd be all over them. I would call that out for the bullshit that it is, but they didn't say it. So yeah, I got that. Just pump the brakes on that bullshit. Anybody you hear saying stuff like that going, well, first of all, they never actually said that. So just stow that away and put that away. Anyway, let's move on here. Ivan Gonzalez just sends in a super chat to be supportive. Thank you, Ivan Gonzalez. I appreciate that. Mighty Tank 1 says, shut up. You had me at greetings and salutations. Well, thank you for that, Mighty Tank. I appreciate that as well. Who also follows up and writes, just learned that Amazon Alexa is getting a Samuel L. Jackson voice with an optional explicit version as well. It is so funny you mentioned that. Anne got home last night, and that's the first thing she was talking about, because we have an Amazon Echo in our bedroom. I have Google Homes in my living room, in my office here, and in my bathroom. But in our bedroom, we have an Amazon Alexa, or an Amazon Echo, which responds to Alexa. And that's the first thing Ann said when she got home. She's like, oh my God, we got to get the Samuel L. Jackson voice. And I'm like, you know what? I can't disagree. We got to get that Samuel L. Jackson voice. I cannot disagree. All right. Omar Khalid writes, can't believe Ex Machina sneaked into my top 10. Hey, listen, that is a film, Omar, that a lot of people, it's beloved. It is a special, low budget, incredibly imaginative sci-fi film that is really, really excellent. So I'm not totally surprised, Omar. I'm not surprised at all, my friend. All right. Ryan Lohner writes, I hope to see more of Aaron's character in All Rise, a very complicated portrayal of what easily could have just been a one-note dirty cop. See, that's the thing, because Aaron told me about her character. She goes, I play a dirty cop, but is she? And that's like, so there's more to it. So they clearly set up her character in the pilot episode that she's going to be back. She is a recurring character in the series, so she'll be on a number of episodes this season. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with her character. Sidhu's Screening Room writes, I also purchased Until Dawn. I can't wait to play it. I'm going to buy that this weekend. A lot of you guys have been telling me as I've been contemplating throwing my PS4 away. A lot of you guys have been telling me get Until Dawn. So I'm going to pick that up this weekend. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give Until Dawn a go this weekend. So I'll let you guys know what I think about it. All right. Juri Manian writes, your favorite 3 sci-fi movies that are not stars. I don't do list questions. What are your top 3? What are your top 5? I don't do those questions. I mean, there's a lot of sci-fi movies that I love and adore. I'll tell you what I think one of the most underrated, a couple that I think are the most underrated in the last couple of years, though. John Carter of Mars, they changed the title just was a fabulous sci-fi film. Edge of Tomorrow, fabulous sci-fi. Serenity, the movie version of the TV show Firefly, was fabulous sci-fi. And there's a bunch. I could list a whole bunch. So again, not in any particular top 3 order, but there's a bunch of really good ones. Toonie Tube writes, I hope today's top topic is true. I apologize for my mistake yesterday. Box office Star Wars and Star Trek Into Darkness bigger than Solo. Oh, no problem. Hey, listen, that's why we fact check each other, right? Like I say some statistics or facts here on the show sometimes because I'm talking about 5,000 different topics a day off the top of my head, but I get some things and then you guys write into me, say, actually, John, look at this. This was actually that. I'm like, oh, we learn something new every day. So don't feel bad about that because that was really interesting, actually. For those of you who don't know, Toonie2 wrote in yesterday and said, did you know that the biggest Star Trek box office ever is still lower than the lowest box office ever for a Star Wars film? And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Now I looked into it and it turned out that wasn't accurate. There was one Star Trek movie that made more than Solo. Star Trek Into Darkness made over $400 million. Solo just made around $400 million. So, but it's still an interesting thing to bring up. It was still an interesting thing to bring up. All right. R Squared Games writes, this worries me a bit. This is the beginning of Feige's transition away from the MCU over to Star Wars full time, and is Iger quietly pushing out Kennedy? Again, no, they just gave Kennedy an extension. They just re-upped her. They gave her a new contract. And again, I don't believe Kevin Feige is going to make, but I've been telling you guys, Kevin Feige is not going to be the president of Marvel for much longer. I think 3 to 4 years from now, he's no longer the president of Marvel. I believe he is moving on to new challenges. But I don't think it's going to be Star Wars. I think that would just be a lateral move for him. I think he is moving up, and I don't know this, nothing, this is just me speculating. I think he's going to be the next Alan Horn. I think he's going to take over I think Alan Horn is grooming him to take over his job. That's my guess, but we'll have to wait and see. But don't count on Kevin Feige being there for long at Marvel. He's going to move on to new challenges. James McLeod writes, hey, everybody. Love the show and all you do. Thank you so much, James. My brother passed away last week, and you guys helped me get through it. I just want to say thank you and keep up the filthy dude. I don't know what to say. That deepest condolences, dude. That's horrible to hear. And again, it's nice. It's nice to know that when we're going through things, we have other things in our lives that cannot make it all better, but can help us get through it. Movies will not make our problems go away. Never do. Movies don't make pain go away. The movie community and socializing and having these discussions, the things we agree with and disagree about and all that kind of stuff, they don't make problems go away and they don't make pain go away. What I have found for me is that they've become that oasis. They let me hit a little bit of a refresh on my brain and gain a different perspective. And, I've said this already today, but it's true. Then when I come back into the real world with my real world pains and problems, it's not that the problems go away or that the pain goes away, but hopefully I'm just in a little bit of a better perspective and position to deal with them and to navigate them and be a part of them. And if the film fan community and if the wonderful, amazing world and art of movies is that for you, James, as you're going through what I can only imagine as being unspeakable, then that's awesome. And again, my friend, deepest condolences to you and your family for that. That's just horrible to hear. And I hope the best for you and your family, that you guys can be there and be a support system for each other as well and help each other to get through that. And again, my deepest thoughts and condolences, James. Thanks for sharing it, dude, though. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Dominic, Chwilichowski. I hope I did that all right, Dominic. 1 of 3. You like to play Swiss games in Mario Kart? Okay. Bueno Gio. So I hear you like to play Switch games like Mario Kart and Party. I recommend you to check out the new Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Oh, is that the game? The game is called Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Is that the name of it? Anyway, it comes out early November, and it looks exactly like a video game that you would like to play with Anne and friends during a good, relaxing evening. If the John Campea gang would live in the Mario world, I could easily imagine Aaron as Peach, Chris as Daisy, Rob as Bowser. You all keep up the great work. You know what it is funny, Dominic, that, a lot of times when we have our game nights, and every Sunday is game night here at the Campea House. So we have a bunch of friends come over. Most nights we play Dungeons and Dragons, but some nights we just play games. We'll pull out Clue, we'll pull out Risk, we'll play some video games, whatever. But when it comes time to play video games, it always ends up being one of these simple little Mario games, usually Mario Party. But sometimes it's Mario Kart as well. There's just something very social about those games. There's just something very, very social and fun about those games when you're playing those together. And that's why it usually ends up being that. And that, what you just recommended, sounds like it could be something as well. I hadn't even heard of it, Dominic, to be honest with you. I had not even heard of it. So I will keep my eyes open for that, because that might be the next game that goes on the Switch there. So thank you for the recommendation. All right. Hollywood Love writes, Campea Plus debuted December 2020, and no trailer, no studio, Faith? That's right. We were joking the other day. What Holly's referring to is we were joking the other day that with all the new streaming services, and they're all called Plus, I said, that's it. I'm going to launch Campea Plus. Campea Plus is coming for all your broadcasting needs. Anyway, Sheepdog117 writes, have you seen the 1978 animated Lord of the Rings? Oh, very much I have. I adore it, and it's my example when people complain about movie remakes. A lot of people then say, well, it's not really a remake because that one was animated. No, Lord of the Rings was a remake. There already was a movie version of it. It was animated, and they rebooted it and remade it into live-action theatrical films. But it's a reboot nonetheless. And then some people say, well, it's not really a reboot because it's based on the books, not on the cartoon. It doesn't matter. They've done it before. They're rebooting and doing it again. And that's a very good argument, Sheepdog, that the Lord of the Rings themselves are reboot films. Because I love the animated one too. Now, I love the live action one more, significantly more if I'm being honest. But yeah, that's a good example to bring up. All right. Rude Shot writes, Last Blood equals Taken meets Home Alone on steroids. You know what's funny? Everybody's been writing that in. Everybody's been writing to me that Last Blood is basically Home Alone mixed with Taken. I see the Taken part. I don't get the Home Alone part. I don't get why everybody says Home Alone is the other half of that analogy. I don't see it. I don't get it. Anyway, Rude Shot also writes, Top 10, Gandhi. Love Gandhi. Sir Ben Kingsley. Seriously, I know a bunch of you guys still haven't watched Gandhi. It's amazing. Watch it. It'll change your view of the world. Anyway, Shawshank Redemption, Goodfellas, Saturday Night Fever, The Full Monty. I don't know that anybody's mentioned The Full Monty on these things before yet. That's a great one. Star Wars, The OG, The King's Speech. Thank you for putting The King's Speech in there. I love that film. Terminator 2, The Hustler, and Jaws. And Anne, my wife, Rude Shot, just watched Jaws for the first time. She was down in Florida doing some work for Hasbro. She just flew back, I think it was last week. And on the flight, she started watching Jaws because she realized she's never seen Jaws. So she gets home, she goes, buy Jaws because I have to see the last half hour. I still didn't see the last half hour. So we bought Jaws, watched the last half hour, and she loved Jaws. And I told her, well, maybe we'll watch Jaws 2. She goes, there's more than one Jaws movie? Oh, I'm like, honey, there are a couple of them. None of them as good as the original, but 2 is pretty good. So we got to watch Jaws 2 now. Okay. What's up next here? Mike Schwenk writes, just got my Joker tickets. Nice. Now Thursday night previews start at 4. At 4 by me. 1. How much earlier do you think they'll go? 2, do you think they're expecting even higher box office numbers than previously expected? No, I don't think they're doing the 4 o'clock thing because they're... like I've heard other people mention this, Mike. I don't think that they've done the 4 o'clock screening because they think, oh my God, there are going to be so many people at the theater. It's not going to be able to handle it. We got to do a 4 o'clock screening too to help manage everybody that's coming. No. Like Joker's not going to be an Avengers opening weekend. It's not going to be a $200 million opening or a $300 million. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be in the $100 million neighborhood, I think. So that's fine. But again, we talked about that earlier. I don't know what their rationale is. I really don't. I don't know what the rationale is of having 4 o'clock screenings. And you're right. We brought up in the show ourselves is like, how much earlier does it go? Is the next one now going to be a 1 p.m. matinee and then a 10 a.m. matinee? And then now first screenings are Wednesday night. At what point do they stop pushing it and just say, look, if it opens on Friday, then it opens on Friday. If you want to say it opens on Thursday, then say it opens on Thursday. I just don't. Just say the day the movie opens. Because we've been living for a while in a world where, yeah, they say the movie opens Friday, December 8th. But we all know that really means Thursday, December 7th. We all know that. So why not just say the movie opens Thursday, December 7th? And now with the times getting even more earlier, it's interesting. And again, like I said, I'm not saying it's never happened before. I'm just saying, Mike, I don't ever recall seeing, the first Thursday screenings of a movie being at 4 p.m. I don't recall ever seeing it. It may have happened. I just don't recall ever seeing it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. All right. Thanks for the question, man. All right. MDV fan 123 writes, but if Feige... I can't even read it. Let's see. Best D14 writes, Kevin isn't leaving the MCU, but is it likely that Kathleen is being edged out and Kevin is grooming Filoni on the business side to take over? No. First of all, Dave Filoni knows nothing about being an executive. He doesn't know anything about it. Dave Filoni is a writer. Dave Filoni is trying his hand at live action directing for the first time. He's directing an episode or two of The Mandalorian. He's never directed live action before, but there is it's a completely different world between being a movie writer and being a studio executive. They're two totally different worlds. Dave Filoni doesn't know the first thing about being a studio executive. It's no. So I don't see that at all. Not in the least. That being said, again, the Kathleen Kennedy thing, they just re-upped her contract. So I don't see them nudging her out. I don't see that being the case here. I think they just brought in a producer to work on a movie. It's not something Kevin Feige's going to do. I'm not saying whether they should or shouldn't. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense that they just re-upped her contract. She's got several years left. Nah, I don't see them nudging her out. Now, I don't know that she's still there 5 years from now. I'm not saying I think Kathleen Kennedy 5 years from now is still going to be the head of Lucas. I'm not necessarily saying that, but she's not going anywhere in the immediate future. Again, they just gave her the new deal, so I don't think she's going to be going anywhere in the immediate future, but definitely no, not Filoni. No, just that makes no sense whatsoever. That makes no sense. It's like saying, hey, there's this guy who's really good at changing the tires on my car. We should make him the president of Ford. Those are two completely different skill sets. And Dave Filoni is not going to be the next head of Lucasfilm. Now that I said that, next week they announced Dave Filoni, new head of Lucasfilm. It's just the way the things go. But no, it's a completely different job. He doesn't know the first thing about running a studio. So no, that's not his side of things. Mike Schwenk writes, sends in a really large super chat. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate supporting the channel on that level, man. As a huge Terminator fan, my inner arm is giant T-800 tattoo. Not even Hamilton or Cameron coming back excites me for the movie. I even like Salvation. Let's hope Gemini Man Critic Response pulls in an audience for Paramount. I'll tell you what. I've got hope. I've got hope for this new Terminator movie. I really do. And it's not even because of Cameron. It's because of the director. Like, they brought in... Oh, sorry. I just got a really interesting email. Hold on a sec. All right. I'm going to... Sorry. Just got a really interesting email that I can't talk about. But anyway, the thing that gives me a lot of hope for the new Terminator is Tim Miller. That guy directing, adding on top of that, James Cameron back in the producer's chair on it, that gives me a lot of hope. Like when you attach, you can't underestimate how big of a deal is attaching a great director. Because that will have more influence over how good or bad the movie will be than any other individual thing. It's not the only thing. It's not the only factor. Don't get me wrong and don't misinterpret me and don't misquote me. It's not the only factor. There are other factors. But there's no single factor that is more influential over whether a movie will end up being good or bad than the person in the director's chair. And they went out and they got somebody that to me was a very exciting addition to put down in the director's chair and getting Tim Miller. Now you add on top of that you got James Cameron back in the fold with Terminator, working in the production. I think there's reason to be optimistic. I'm not saying the movie's going to be good. I don't know. They haven't put out the greatest trailers in the world, but I thought the most recent trailer was actually pretty good. I'm just saying I think there's reason to be optimistic. I think there is reason to be optimistic, and it may turn out to be terrible, whatever, but let's wait and see. And yes, here's hoping that Gemini Man and Terminator make some money for Paramount, because they need some hits, dude. They need some hits. All right. Bruce Gordon writes, my local, I'm guessing you mean theater. My local theater is playing Joker 70 millimeter. Really? I don't even think any theaters near me are doing that. That's pretty cool. Let me know what you think about that, Bruce. All right, Alan Valley writes, if you can only watch one, Obi-Wan or Picard, Obi-Wan. I mean, that's simple. I'm very excited about Picard, but I am a Star Trek fan, but I'm a Star Wars fan before a Star Trek fan, so Obi-Wan. I'll miss Picard, but Obi-Wan. All right, Firebird85 writes, the evil troll empire is trying to sabotage Captain Marvel again. Your thoughts on fake news, hate channels, and how Bree easily triggers the man babies. I don't even know what situation you're talking about, Firebird. You got to give me some context. I have no idea. Since I don't know what the situation is that you're talking about, I can't comment. Since I don't even know the context. I don't know the situation, don't know the context, so unfortunately I can't comment on that. Sorry about that, dude. Vlad Momot writes, Tyler Bates' music for Watchmen film is astounding. It's got to look, I'm one of those guys that I'm not a big fan of I will admit, I'm not a big fan of the Watchmen movie. I think it's okay. Everybody either loves it or hates it. I'm a little bit in the middle. I thought it was okay, but the music was certainly good in it. The music was certainly a good part of it. Evelyn writes, while I trust Feige because of what he's done, I do worry it might be too much for just one person. MCU movies and shows plus a Star Wars movie. I do think he's going to start to delegate more in the MCU because I believe Kevin Feige is starting to lay the groundwork for his eventual exit out of the MCU. But that's still a lot. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, Evelyn. It is still a lot. And I hope that it doesn't equal, diminishing returns or diminishing quality in the stuff that he's overseeing, because he is taking on a lot. It's a lot. But again, he's been doing this for 10 years. He's been developing a team around him that he trusts with multiple people in different roles. And again, I think it's just, we're at that point now that he is going, again, I don't think it's going to happen this year or next year, but he is starting to lay the groundwork for his departure. He is starting to lay the groundwork for his leaving the MCU. And I just hope that he's got enough of those pieces in place now that it's, again, not going to overwhelm him. Because that is one thing I'm going to be, I have confidence in him as a leader that he'll know how to do it, but I am going to be a little bit nervous about it. So let's keep our eye on things. All right, Shan1 writes, Feige to Disney, you couldn't live with your own failure. Where did that leave you? Back to me. Well, I don't think that's quite the case, but we've known for a long time, Kevin Feige is a Star Wars fanatic. And he's now at a place in his career where he can just say to Disney, I want to make a Star Wars movie. And they'll go, you know what? Go for it. You go for it. So he pitched it to Kathleen Kennedy. Apparently Kennedy loved the idea, and now they're making a movie, and I'm excited to see what they do. All right, Shannon One also writes, over under 50%, we see some of the Guardians in Thor 4. I'm going to go... I'll go over. That at least in a cameo role, we'll see at least one member of Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll go over 50%. Now, if you were asking me over or under 50% that we see all of the Guardians of the Galaxy, I would have gone under. But that we just see at least one member of the Guardians in Thor Love and Thunder, I'll go over 50% on that. I don't know that for sure, but I'll go over 50%. All right. Chris GB writes, hey, John, do you think Marvel will change the origin of She-Hulk from Jennifer Walters to Betty Ross and have Liv Tyler play her? Somebody else brought that up the other day. I don't think so. I don't see any reason to do that. And quite frankly, look, let me be clear here. I like Liv Tyler. I do. I like her. Do I think she can carry a show? I'm not sure about that, to be honest with you. I'm not sure about that. I'm not convinced she can. And I think they'll go a little bit younger because Liv now I think is 42, 43. So I think they'll go a little bit younger. And I'm not sure plus I don't know that they want to bring that into the story. So, and at 50% is really high. Look, I'm not going to say that it's impossible for it to happen. It is possible, but I don't think they're going to go that route, to be honest with you. I don't think they're going to go that route at all. Aditya, Randhawa writes, Joker to release 2 days earlier in India. Well, we see that more and more, especially with big comic book movies, that more and more we're seeing films like this open a few days before they open in the U.S. in other territories and other countries. It's an interesting trend. Noel Nguyen writes, lose Spider-Man, gain Star Wars, a soul for a soul. Nice little tie in there, Noel. I like that. A soul for a soul. I like that. Christopher Bergen writes, should I buy Booksmart? I think so. To me, it may not be by the time we get to the end of the year, but for me personally right now, I still think Booksmart's the best film of the year. Not a lot of people agree with me on that, and that's fine. But I love Booksmart. I definitely think it's a movie worth owning. I really do. Colin Williams writes, the marketing was so good for ABC Stumptown. It has been good commercials, hasn't it? I had to give it a try last night just for their efforts. It was a pretty good pilot episode. I have not checked it out yet. But I love my good Canadian girl, Colby Smulders. Speaking of the MCU, I love my good Canadian girl, Colby Smulders. I want to give it a shot because I agree with you completely. I think the trailers have looked really solid. So I'm going to give this one a shot. I'm glad you liked it, Colin. So maybe I'll like it too. I hope so. All right. Jack Fitzgerald writes, first photo of Pattinson as Batman in 2019 or 2020. I'm going to guess 2020. I'm not even convinced they're going to start shooting before the end of the year, to be honest with you. I'm not even convinced they're going to start shooting before the end of the year. But 2020 seems more, and besides, there's no point in really getting the marketing machine going, like releasing images and all that kind of stuff when a movie is still well over a year away. So I'm going to guess 2020. Yours Trolley writes, I like that name, writes, hey John, it's always hard for me to say when the first, second, or third act of a movie starts. Can you please briefly explain it based on any Marvel DC movie? Well, no, it's the 3-act structure, and again, it's better just to look it up online. The 3-act structure is in some ways nebulous. It's the beginning, the middle, of the end. And it's usually, not always, triggered by something that changes the perception of the story, either from the character's perspective or from the audience perspective. We get the introduction of the movie, we introduce the characters, boom, then something happens that takes the character on a journey or in a direction in their life. Something changes the perception of the world from the audience's point of view or from the character's point of view. Therein lies kind of the beginning of the second act of the film, which is the body of the film. It's the main part of the film. Then something happens at some point which changes the perception of the story from the audience or the character's perception again, that points us then towards the conclusion of the film. From that point to the conclusion is what is known as the third act or the resolution and that kind of thing. So that is the general basic premise. Look for those moments where direction changes, right? It's those moments when directions change. If we look at Endgame, you're probably looking at the opening of the film is setting up the dilemma. Then time travel. Boom. That's the changing of perception from the character's point of view and the audience's. Boom. That leads the whole story in a new direction. Therein lies your second act. As the characters run back and forth through time, trying to get the gems and the stones and all that kind of stuff and blah, 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 blah. Then, boom, they're all back. They've got the things together. And Thanos is coming. That's a new change of perception, new change of direction that takes us from that point of the movie until the conclusion. That's your third act. So, again, this is not a hard and fast rule. That's a general principle of it. But if you want to go, again, we could talk about it for hours. You should look up some stuff on YouTube on the 3-act structure. But that's a general premise and how it might be reflected in an MCU movie like, say, an Endgame. Anyway. Josh Marion writes and sends in a big super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel on that level, Josh. We appreciate it around here. Josh writes, Spartacus Season 1, Episode 6, Delicate Things. I knew I was locked in for a blood fest of revenge. To see Sura stumble out of the carriage enraged me. That was Aaron's character in Spartacus. Thank you, Aaron, for your performance and contribution to my favorite series. And Spartacus is my all-time number 3 favorite show. It really is. I love it. And if you've never seen it, just be prepared. The first 2.5 episodes are some of the worst television you've ever seen. It's some of the worst television I've ever seen. The only reason I stuck with it was because my friend Aaron was in it. And I'm glad I stuck with it because it became my 3rd favorite show of all time. And that episode is truly fantastic. Truly fantastic episode. And Aaron is so good in it. And I will be sure to pass along, Josh, your thoughts on that. And it was so great to see her do that. She did that role so well. And again, it is my number 3, only behind Battlestar Galactica, the Ronald D. Moore version, and Sons of Anarchy. Then there's Spartacus is my number 3. So anyway, I'm sure she'd love to hear that. Thanks for sending that in, Josh. We appreciate it, man. All right. Guys, I'm just going to take a quick second here. I'm going to scan to see, because we are past 11:30 now. I'm just going to see if anybody else is sending like ridiculously big super chats. So I want to make sure I answer those before we tune out here. But it looks we got to the Josh one. And so we're going to wrap it up there, guys, after Josh's thing. We've gone over 2.5 hours. Guys, thank you so much for being here. And guys, for everybody from Jeffrey, Raymond, Iggy, BMC, Nicholas, Tristan, everybody else all the way down. Do not worry. Your questions are getting answered in a video today. I'm going to gather up these questions. I'm going to answer them in a companion video that will come a little bit later today. Keep your eyes open for that because you sent them in. I'm going to make sure they get answered properly in a video, and we'll get to that a little bit later today. So keep your eyes open, guys. All right. That will do it for today, guys, for this installment of the John Campea Show. Want to remind all you guys who are Patreon supporters, don't forget, we got our John Campea Show post-show chat that's going to be happening over there on the Discord server about 15 minutes after we end today's episode. So make sure you guys join me over there. We'll talk about today's show. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in there. Special thank you to all of you guys who sent in questions, not just because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but also because you supported the channel along the way, and we thank you for that very, very much. All right, guys, that will do it for today for this installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, guys. We hope to see you again tomorrow. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.